repairs. Recently, the Rosemont Village Board voted for a temporary ban on the installation of charging stations inside of parking garages. Bulls go for their fourth win in a row when they host Brooklyn at the UC tonight. Blackhawks aim to avoid their third straight loss when they visit San Jose this evening. College men's tournament basketball. Notre Dame exits the ACC tournament with a loss to North Carolina. Northwestern moves on in the Big Ten tournament with a 72-64 win over Minnesota. Northwestern goes up against number 14 Wisconsin this afternoon. The number 25 Fighting Illini begin their Big Ten tournament run with a game against Iowa this evening. In the Big East last night, DePaul beat Georgetown 71-67. And in the A10 tournament, Loyola will take on either the Billikens of St. Louis or Davidson tomorrow. Baseball news, Southsiders tied the Angels 1-1 in spring play yesterday. It's 5:09. We'll have a check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Mike Gallagher explains the president's stance on the war in Ukraine.
He wants the killing to end. He wants the war to end. And he's not going to take a side because there are young Russian boys that are being killed. There are young Ukrainians being killed. It's a humanity issue. And I'm confident President Trump is going to help broker peace between these two nations.
The Mike Gallagher Show, weekdays at 9, right before Dennis Prager at 11 on AM 560. The Answer.
Virago is fending off viruses and making America healthy again.
Hi, my name is Dr. Michael Huber. I'm one of the co-founders of Virago, the immune enhancement cocktail. Virago contains 23 natural ingredients that work synergistically to boost your immune system. Virago's natural ingredients also protect your heart, your brain, and your liver through its anti-inflammatory and antioxidant properties. Virago also promotes healthy gum health. So go to myvirago.com, that's myvirogo.com, and use promo code IMMUNE to get 30% off. And remember, Maha starts with Virago.
Boost your immune system with Virago. Order your bottle today. Visit myvirago.com. That's myvirogo.com.
And use coupon code IMMUNE to save 30%.
That's myvirago.com. Use coupon code IMMUNE to save 30%. Virago and Maha, making America healthy again.
During tax season, your personal info travels to a lot of places you can't control. Between payroll, your home office, your tax preparer, and the IRS, if your W-2 gets exposed, that's just the ticket for identity thieves. That's why LifeLock monitors hundreds of millions of data points every second. If your identity's stolen, they'll fix it guaranteed or your money back. Don't let identity thieves take you for a ride. Save up to 40% your first year with promo code CLAY. Visit LifeLock.com. Terms apply.
It's time to throw your overpriced big wireless contract overboard with a qualifying plan. You can choose an iPhone 14 or a Samsung Galaxy for $0. Pure Talk's U.S. customer service team will make the switch in as little as 10 minutes. No hassle, no gimmicks, just honest-to-goodness wireless price right. Dial pound 250, say the keywords Pure Talk, claim your new iPhone or Galaxy with a qualifying purchase from Pure Talk, which is America's wireless company. Visit puretalk.com for details.
It's 5:12. Let's get an update on the roads. Team Hochberg Traffic Center time is a service of Lowe's. Lowe's knows that your business is built on speed. That's why the Lowe's Pro Desk will help you get what you need right away. And with their pro-only checkout and dedicated pro parking, they'll help you get back on the job fast. Visit them at the Pro Desk. 2 incidents, one on the Kennedy outbound between Foster and Harlem. It's entirely shut down due to a car versus construction worker accident that occurred around 4:30. They are slowly reopening that area as the investigation is wrapping up. Solid traffic, though, on the Kennedy outbound between Foster and Harlem. And in University Park, an ammonia leak, hazardous materials situation, central near US 30 or Lincoln Highway. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next. Now your official Chicagoland weather forecast with Steve Williams.
Sunshine, mild day. High today 60. Clear to partly cloudy tonight, low 50. Partly sunny, breezy, warmer. Severe thunderstorm by tomorrow night. High tomorrow 75. Variable cloudiness. A windy day on Saturday, the high 66. I'm Steve Williams on AM 560. The Answer.
Partly cloudy and 33 at O'Hare, 38 Midway, 34 Aurora. Your next news update, 5:30. Chicago's Morning Answers starts next on AM 560, The Answer.
New treatments for joint pain are here. By now, you've heard about regenerative medicine. If you're wondering if you're a good candidate, answer these questions. First, does chronic pain in your knees, hips, shoulders, or other joints keep you from doing the things you enjoy? Golfing, jogging, time with the family. Does it hurt doing the things you need to do, like getting out of bed, sleeping, working, and walking? And finally, do you want to avoid surgery and all of the pain, long recovery, and uncertainty that comes with it? If you answered yes to any of those, you need to call QC Kinetics now. Learn about exciting advancements in regenerative treatments that can give you long-lasting pain relief with no drugs, no surgery, and no downtime. Get your free consultation today. Call QC Kinetics. That's QC Kinetics. Here's the phone number.
Call now, 312-809-5955. That's 312-809-5955. QC Kinetics, 312-809-5955.
Be prepared for tax changes in 2025. Without a solid strategy, you could risk losing more of your hard-earned savings than necessary. VestGen Wealth Partners can help develop proactive tax plans designed to help keep more money in your pockets. Visit GetRetiredStayRetired.com for a free review.
Advisory services offered through VestGen Advisors, LLC, an SEC registered investment advisor. Securities offered through Private Client Services, LLC, member FINRA and SIPC. Private Client Services and VestGen Advisors, LLC are unaffiliated entities. Any information discussed does not constitute investment advice. VestGen Advisors and Private Client Services do not offer tax legal advice.
This is Hugh Hewitt for townhall.com. The House has now passed the continuing resolution that was unveiled by Speaker Johnson this past weekend, immediately endorsed by President Trump.
On this vote, the yeas are 217, the nays are 213. The bill is passed without objection. The motion to reconsider is laid upon the table.
Bravo. I don't know about all that's in that 99-page bill, save for the beginning of a defense buildup. But it will allow the government to stay open while Donald Trump and the GOP in the House and Senate figure out the budget and reconciliation package or packages. There can be one or two. I'm in favor of whatever the GOP passes, just as I will support the president's approaches on trade and peace negotiations for at least year one. Because I'm a party man. Always have been, always will be. Parties are the only way to advance political agendas. And in the end, the Republican Party is the only way to protect the Constitution, as the Democrats want to pack the Supreme Court, crush the rule of law in the process of doing so. The Senate should now move quickly to pass the CR and keep the government open. I'm Hugh Hewitt.
Come on with this, people. Move it!
Did you really think you could make that company deliver yourself?
Oh, I cannot handle any more traffic.
You could be getting much more done at your place of business.
I've wasted 45 minutes and now this place is gonna close.
Time is money. Let Quick Delivery Service take on the traffic hassle for you. They'll deliver almost anything, from large pallets of materials to important documents, or both. No forms, no labels, no scanning. Just tell Quick Delivery Service where it's going, they'll pick it up, and get it to your destination quickly. Your cargo delivery is tracked in real time with GPS. Notifications are delivered right to your inbox. Visit QuickDelivery.com. That's QuickDelivery.com. Or you can deliver like this.
Seriously, another train?
Or get your delivery there on time with QuickDelivery.com. Or call 847-534-2244. 847-534-2244.
If you have high blood pressure, listen to this story. Ira was given a grim diagnosis about his blood pressure. His doctor warned it's sky high. If he didn't get it down in 3 weeks, he was going to need surgery. So Ira began exercising, went on medication. But what seemed to be the miracle change, his diet. After thorough research and consulting with a nutritionist friend, Ira concocted a juice from foods that work like natural blood pressure medicines. 2 weeks later, his blood pressure dropped 30 points. What helped save Ira's life, amazed his doctor, is now available to you. Ira and his nutritionist founded 120 Life, a delicious juice and powdered mix with natural ingredients that have shown to lower blood pressure. Try it yourself risk-free with a 2-week trial pack. Go to 120life.com and use coupon code 560 to save 15% and get free shipping. They're so sure it can noticeably lower your blood pressure in 2 weeks, they'll give your money back if you're not satisfied. Order now. 120life.com. Use coupon code 560 at checkout.
Portions of the following show may be pre-recorded.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios. This is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560. The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. Guess who's got a new podcast? No, not Gavin Newsom, although Gavin Newsom does. That's not who I'm talking about.
Everybody has one. It seems like it. We've got a podcast. We podcast this show, by the way.
There you go.
Know. Yeah, who's the newcomer to the party, Dan?
One of the most beautiful women in the world.
My gal?
Michelle Obama. Stunning. Michelle Obama and her brother, Craig Robinson, are doing a great service. They don't have to do this. Well, what they realize is that there's a lot of people that don't have mentors, don't have safe spaces where they can go to get answers to the hard questions. So they're going to provide that same space. They're going to be that mentor. In the words of Bill Murray, they're going to be that big toe for this little platoon that is America.
Hey, TikTok, it's Michelle Obama, and I'm here with my big brother, Craig.
Hey, everybody.
Hey.
We're here because
they
we're
look
excited
weird.
to announce the launch of our new podcast
Does Craig
called
want to disclose
IMO
anything?
with Michelle Obama and Craig Robinson.
We started talking about this at the outset, why we're doing this show.
You know, post White House and writing the books and doing book tours, speaking at leadership conferences, things you do as a coach, you realize that what we have, even in our lack of resources, in our household growing up, we had people who would share their opinions, give us advice. We had mentors, and we were used to mentoring and being mentored. And I realize that a lot of people don't have that. They don't have a safe place to come sometimes,
right?
Where they feel comfortable being vulnerable and asking hard questions, or they don't have people in their lives they trust. They are lone wolves, or maybe they have contentious relationships where they're estranged from the people they could rely on. So a lot of people out there are looking for guidance. A lot of people have questions they want to know, especially when they see somebody of note with a platform who,
somebody
by every measure looks successful. The first question is, how'd you do this? Tell me more.
Tell me more.
So I can only access so many people through books or at tours or at, limited leadership conferences. So I think this podcast, first and foremost, gives us an opportunity to hear from folks. We're going to be taking, questions from listeners who are going through some things and just need a little advice.
She wants to do more for the many. I mean, does her selflessness know no bounds? 312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line.
You can also text us. Her brother looks kind of uncomfortable, like this isn't his thing, if you know what I mean. Are they trying to be the Kelsey brothers? You know how they maybe saw them during the football season and thought, you know what?
What is that? Is that some sort of big Mike conspiracy theory that you're propagating?
I've actually never thought that she was a man, because I've seen her in the locker room.
Well,
she's not a man. Brothers, siblings, the siblings thing. You know?
Yeah.
But how many, she's got 25,000 views so far on YouTube?
That's not a ton. I get more views than that, and when I do my little podcast, and I'm a nobody. I don't know, maybe Michelle Obama is not as compelling as Oprah Winfrey would have us believe. 312-642-5600, turkey.pro answer line. If you have a question or perhaps a frayed relationship, you would like to get Michelle Obama's advice on how to reconcile, because Amy, as she just mentioned, developed a bit of a rapport with Michelle in the locker room at East Bank Club. And so she can fire these questions or these problem relationships right over to Michelle and Craig, who's a coach. So you don't have to attend a leadership conference to hear her treatises on leadership. You don't have to read her books. You can get that personal one-on-one attention to the relationship problems you have in your life or other problems, or if you want to hear the story about how Michelle Obama became this successful magnate that she is, then for lessons to be learned from that you can apply to your own life. Again, just let us know, and Amy will carry those over to Michelle.
I will text her and get the questions. I mean, is this a sign of desperation? Is she? I mean, I know she's an empty nester now. Her kids have gone, and well, I mean, you got to reinvent yourself. You got to stay busy.
She's still got Valerie.
Oh, living in the left wing.
She's not an empty nester. Yeah.
No, but
this is the Thelma and Louise period of her life with Valerie.
Who wants advice from Michelle Obama? I mean, if you ask, do you know who Michelle Obama is?
Excuse me.
I just think it's over. Like we need new blood. We need new people.
Over? The Obamas are over? The hell you say? They're still finishing Obama land.
Oh, that's right.
That's going to be a featured attraction for the Western world. They're going to get billions of visitors to Obama land every year, and it's going to generate untold revenue for Chicago and the state of Illinois, and it's going to solve all of our financial problems.
No, that's right. It's going to create jobs and blah, 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 blah. But I know, I think she gave up on the American people when she didn't show up for Jimmy Carter's funeral. And I also thought it was absolutely classless not to go to Trump's inauguration. But that says a lot about her. I don't know. I just think that people are, people in the Republican Party are way over her and are done with her. That's for sure.
Well, not if she could help solve some of our relationship problems that don't know partisan affiliation. Maybe she can help us bridge the gap between right and left the same way that Gavin Newsom is doing with his podcast. Again, another selfless public servant with no ambitions and no desire for the spotlight. He's just doing these things because he cares about other people. He wants to help. That's it. George in Naperville.
Yes. Dan, can I ask Michelle why Dan Prof is not married?
You can ask her. Yeah. Thanks for the call, George. Yeah, we'll pass that along. In on
why Dan Prof is single segments and then, maybe help you out. We should actually, dear Michelle, I have a coworker who I've known for years, decades actually, and he's single. He's in his mid-50s.
Not mid. No. Nice try.
He's in his 50s. Thank you.
Barely.
And he's addicted to golf. We don't know if it's a passion or an addiction or maybe just a little bit of both. Can he see outside himself and see love? Is it still possible at his age? He's very set in his ways. I'm not done talking. He's very set in his ways as he's lived alone for the majority of his life.
Well, I think what you want from Michelle, what I would want, if you were representing me and this plea for help, give me the tools. Michelle, give me the tools to learn how to love.
We're getting somewhere.
Right?
Yeah.
I mean, we can talk all around it, but until I have those tools that Michelle Obama uniquely possesses, then what chance do I have? What chance do any of us have without Michelle's tutelage, without her leadership? I will be her apt pupil. I will learn from Michelle how to love.
Oh, this is great. Text messages. This is pathetic.
What do you mean?
That's somebody texted
Craig Robinson is a coach. Her big bro.
Is he a life coach?
He's not an NFL coach, so I assume when they're talking about things like divorce and relationships and mentoring, he's some sort of half-ass life coach. Is there any other kind, by the way? Not to offend any life coaches out there. Maybe my poor attitude towards life coaching, towards the important work that Craig Robinson does and Michelle Obama does. Maybe that's where I have gone awry.
I thought she meant that he was a basketball coach. I'm looking it up right now. Don't you worry, because he did play basketball at Princeton.
Did he?
Yeah, he did. And then she followed in his footsteps and went to Princeton.
Yeah, and then what else do we know about Craig?
He's married.
To who?
Didn't he have to a woman, and they have children?
Okay. Sure.
2 kids, actually.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I'm right. I buy that. All right. So, what kind of coach is he?
Stand by.
I mean, it doesn't really matter because he's a coach, and so the the coaching expertise has universal application, including relationships. And I understand. I haven't had the chance to take it all in. I was so excited to hear about it. I haven't even gotten myself mentally prepared to listen to it. But I understand in the first podcast they talked about things like divorce.
Oh.
Not that there's that. No, please. Again, you started the big Mike rumor. Now you're going to start the Barack and Michelle rumors, or they're breaking up. No.
I did
They're
believe
very
that.
much in love. They're very much in love. But didn't Craig get divorced?
No. He's 2 years older than her. That's what I'm getting so far. They both went to same college. They both went to Whitney Young.
No, sure.
They lived poor in a small house growing up.
Yeah, it's a terrible
But that
story.
gave them
Whitney
a
Young
feeling-
to Princeton. Yeah, it's a tragedy. Yeah.
He just looks so much like her without hair. They look like twins.
Well, again, with the rumors. By the way, the Gavin Newsom thing, too.
Interviewing Republicans. What do you think about that? And conservatives, like Charlie Kirk was on.
Yeah, Michael Savage. Steve Bannon is up next. It is impossible to watch. He is such a oleaginous douchebag. And frankly, for conservatives to participate in this charade he's putting out in advance of his attempt to position himself politically for 28 as some sort of post-partisan, I can talk to the other side, I can work with people kind of guy after his dismal record as governor. Yeah, I know there's some pushback that goes back and forth, but it is not firing line quality or anything like that, if that's what you're thinking. Oh, it's good. We're going to have some clash of ideas and it's going to be robust and interesting. No, it's not, because it's a sham.
Okay, he's a basketball coach. He was an assistant. He left a lucrative banking career to be an assistant at Northwestern, where he took a 90% pay cut. Then he moved on to the Oregon State Beavers. And then he moved on to the Milwaukee Bucks. They hired him as a VP of player and organizational development. And then he went to the New York Knicks. And where is he now? Oh, gosh, he's got a long... He's working for an National Association of Basketball Coaches. That's where he works today.
Fascinating. I mean, I can't wait to get his insights on, my relationships.
Ooh, he's married to a white chick, and they have 4 kids, not 2.
Wow, fascinating. I can't wait for your unauthorized biography on Craig Robinson. He's actually not that interesting. I didn't need that much detail.
Oh, well, you asked, so I
just asked if he was a basketball coach. No, I didn't need, his SAT scores. All right, coming up at 5:38, human shrew. Really, I think I believe she is. I believe, how they breed dogs. Like a labradoodle.
Right.
This is a woman who is bred with a shrew. Randy Weingarten, she's the head of the American Federation for Teachers. She screeches on about cuts to the Department of Education against the backdrop of Texas, the state of Texas, moving to dramatically expand school choice in that state. That's at 5:38.
But first, let's stop into that newsroom. Here is Mike Scott.
5:32 in Chicago, 34 degrees. The head of NATO in Washington today. He'll meet with President Trump. NATO Secretary General Mark Rutte scheduled to visit the White House, talking ceasefire between Ukraine and Russia. U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio may be walking into unusually unfriendly territory this week when he meets his G7 counterparts in Canada. Federal judge ruling that a pro-Palestinian, pro-Hamas Columbia University activist, Mahmoud Khalil, will remain jailed in Louisiana following today's deportation hearing in New York.
We and he fully intend to vindicate not just his First Amendment rights, but those of all Americans, frankly, and all lawful permanent residents, and anybody who wants to speak out.
Manhattan federal judge Jesse Furman has ruled that Khalil will remain behind bars. Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer says Democrats have the needed votes to block a Republican spending bill. It comes as Friday's deadline to avoid a government shutdown looms. 2 NASA astronauts stuck on board the ISS since last year are going to have to wait a little longer.
A 4-person crew was set to launch from Cape Canaveral Wednesday evening. The mission, though, was aborted about an hour before takeoff because of a hydraulic issue with the clamps holding the Falcon 9 rocket in place. The 4-member team would have relieved Butch Wilmore and Sonny Williams, who have been on the station since their Boeing Starliner spacecraft was deemed unsafe for them to return to Earth in. I'm Tammy Trujillo.
A Connecticut woman stands accused of holding her stepson captive for 20 years, providing little food and water. Kimberly Sullivan was taken into custody Tuesday, facing a judge. She's facing multiple charges, including assault and kidnapping. An investigation continues after a man was shot outside O'Hare yesterday. Police say shots were fired outside of Terminal 2 around 1 a.m. A person has been brought in for questioning by detectives. New videos and documents detailing a deadly shooting involving a Chicago police burglary suspect on the southwest side last month have been released by COPA.
He's going southbound, walking slowly. The male has been in his hand, guys, so use caution, please.
COPA releasing video and other materials, as you heard, related to the shooting from Sunday, February 2nd in the North Lawndale community. More federal complaints against the Illinois State Board of Education are in the queue as a social welfare advocacy group announces one against the state for using tax dollars for so-called affinity groups.
Money funneled into educator affinity groups is not helping children, including Black or Hispanic students who have shown no change in the performance gap in 20 years.
Awake Illinois President Shannon Adcock announcing the complaint they filed with the U.S. Department of Education against ISB. Adcock saying their initial civil rights complaint is just step one. ISB is not commenting. Illinois tax dollars are covering tax breaks for large computing companies as Governor J.B. Pritzker talks quantum computing at a festival in Texas. The governor appeared at South by Southwest saying Illinois will spend taxpayer funds on quantum computing to gain federal dollars.
I think what we did is the right thing. We made our own investment, but it's a kind of a matching investment so that the federal government understands that we're not just sort of raising our hand and saying, great, toss some money this way.
IBM and Psi Quantum are among the companies benefiting from your state tax dollars and incentives. Bulls go for their 4th win in a row when they host the Brooklyn Nets at the UC. Blackhawks aim to avoid a 3rd straight loss when they visit San Jose this evening. College men's basketball tournament action. Notre Dame exited the ACC tournament with a loss to North Carolina. Northwestern moves on following a win over Minnesota in the Big Ten tournament, 72-64. Northwestern takes on Wisconsin this afternoon. The Fighting Illini have Iowa this evening. Big East tournament, DePaul moves on. They beat Georgetown in the A-10. Loyola will take on either St. Louis or Davidson tomorrow. 5:37, we'll have a check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
President Trump is moving at lightning speed.
And after that, all
all hell is going to break out.
Executive orders, new policies, promises kept. It's hard to keep up until now. Subscribe to the Trump Report. This email brings you daily highlights from the Oval Office right to your inbox 5 days a week.
I will put America first.
It'll help you follow President Trump at the speed of Trump. Sign up today at 560theanswer.com/Trump.
You never want to miss one of life's most important moments. A graduation, a birthday, a first communion, a wedding. When these moments happen, you want to make sure to capture them so that you and your loved ones can remember them for years to come. For over 30 years, families have relied on Tom Kaloran Photography to capture important life moments. This locally owned family business can provide the solutions you need for your important event photography, from weddings and birthdays to class reunions and golf outings. No matter the size or scope, Tom Kaloran Photography will make sure you have lasting memories to share for years to come. Tom Kaloran Photography is also the official photographer for AM 560 The Answer. To learn more and to see their portfolio, just visit KaloranPhotography.com. That's KILLORAN photography.com. Or call them at 708-361-0025. Tom Kaloran Photography, capturing important life moments for over 30 years.
So there I was.
Where?
At Penny Mustard.
Okay.
And this gentleman...
What's his name?
She doesn't know. He was trying out the Finn sofa.
Who was?
The guy. He's pushing all the buttons and discovering all the different ways to recline.
How many different ways?
Ben.
Sorry.
Anyway, I walked over there and said, let me show you something.
What did you show him?
Let me guess. You activated the Finn's articulating headrest that cradles your neck while watching TV. That's it. You should have seen his face.
What face?
But his mind was really blown when he learned about the Finn's pre-charged battery pack that eliminates all those pesky electrical cords.
Did it hurt?
Huh?
When he blew his mind.
He's fine.
Who's fine?
Come try the Finn sofa with hand-blown fiber seats, articulating headrest, and hundreds of fabric and leather options, starting at $53.10 at Penny Mustard. 7 locations throughout Chicagoland. PennyMustard.com.
Better versions of what people want.
Penny Mustard Furnishing.
During tax season, your personal info travels to a lot of places you can't control. Between payroll, your home office, your tax preparer, and the IRS, if your W-2 gets exposed, that's just the ticket for identity thieves. That's why LifeLock monitors hundreds of millions of data points every second. If your identity's stolen, they'll fix it guaranteed or your money back. Don't let identity thieves take you for a ride. Save up to 40% your first year with promo code CLAY. Visit lifelock.com. Terms apply.
Millions of Americans take medicine like Ozempic and Zepbound. Many of them are overpaying by thousands of dollars a year. These GLP-1 medications for diabetes, weight loss, and more may not always be covered by your insurance, but GoodRx can help. GoodRx helps you save every month on prescriptions at over 70,000 pharmacies nationwide. Best of all, it's free to use. Check GoodRx to save on GLP-1s. Just go to GoodRx.com/GLP. That's GoodRx.com/GLP. GoodRx is not insurance, but can be used instead of insurance, including Medicare and other federal and state-funded programs.
If better health, more energy, and detoxing your body are some of your priorities this year, get Active Liver today. You can find Active Liver in stores at your local CVS or online at Amazon or NewNordicUSA.com.
541 Team Hochberg Traffic Center time, a service of our friends at Valdecast Windows for the discerning homeowner looking for high quality and professional level window replacement service. Contact Valdecast Windows, your award-winning Platinum Elite Pella certified contractor, Valdecast.com. Better news for the outbound Kennedy. It's been reopened from the earlier accident where a car struck a construction worker. Still some jam-ups, though, between Central and Harlem this morning. Tri-State disabled vehicle on the right shoulder, northbound 294, right before Archer Avenue. Veterans Memorial Toll, you have an accident, 2 left lanes blocked this early morning. Southbound 355 just after 63rd. And University Park still closing down Central near Lincoln Highway due to an ammonia leak. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next. AM 560 Weather Center forecast, sunny and mild, 60 this afternoon. Partly cloudy and 34 right now. Next news at 6. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560 The Answer.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios. If you're looking for the latest news, insight into what it means, and the sharpest opinion, there's only one station in Chicago where you can turn, and it's this one. We're AM 560. The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. By the way, Craig Robinson, Michelle Obama's brother and co-podcaster, did get divorced.
Oh, he
a while
did?
back, a long time ago. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So he has suffered the pain of divorce, and that's some of what they'll talk about on their new podcast, Higher Ground. I'm just trying to help promote it because despite all the promotion, it's not gained much traction out of the gate. A little surprising to those who organized the podcast to, provide another revenue stream for the Obamas so they can make that mortgage payment on the place in Martha's Vineyard.
Yeah, they have multiple houses now. My goodness. Just like us. They're just like us, Dan.
They are
Don't ever
just like
forget
us.
it. And if her brother got divorced, since they're besties, maybe she likes his new life and thinks, well, maybe I should try that.
Don't
I
start
should
trouble.
Find greener pastures.
Don't start trouble between the Obamas. They're American royalty. They're our first couple. Obama land is, just a few decades away from opening. A few $100 million, billion of our dollars to finish that up, I'm sure.
It's such an eyesore, too. And what they've
we don't
built
need you starting trouble.
What they've built so far, there's cracks in the concrete on the south side of the wall. So, I don't know.
Look,
maybe racism had something to do with it. I don't know.
I'm just as in love with the Obamas today as I was back in, 1999 when he first arrived in the General Assembly as this white knight that, excuse the metaphor, that was going to reverse all of the challenges that Chicago and Illinois face, and I'll be damned if he didn't do it. Chicago and Illinois would not be the places they are today without the leadership, the mentorship, if I could borrow a Michelle Obamaism, the mentorship of both Obamas, really, because it's a team effort.
He just never cared about us. He only cared about his political aspirations. And he was a good orator. Everybody thought, look at this guy. He's this shiny new object. And how did that turn out?
Transitioning to somebody that feigns concern over a constituency they could not care less about per their behavior. Randi Weingarten, she's that teachers union boss who looks like a shrew. Literally. Like if you go on the internet and pull up pictures of a shrew and then look at Randi Weingarten and tell me if they're not indistinguishable. Okay. Anyway, she is unhappy about the layoffs at the Department of Education. You'll be shocked to learn. And so she went on MSNBC and she went on podcasts for MSNBCers like Molly Jong-Fast, proud Barnard graduate, to screech about it.
Is why so many people are so mad about it, because they're just taking opportunity away from kids that don't have it. So kids of billionaires, they have it. They go to private schools. Everyone else, 90%, go to public schools. Don't take away their opportunity.
So let's stay on the facts.
Sorry,
no,
I'm really angry about this.
No, because this
I'm
is what
really
people
angry.
need to hear.
I taught kids in Clara Barton High School in Brooklyn, New York.
Mm-hmm. And where are those kids today? It's an affront to Randi Weingarten, and should be to anybody who cares about kids' education, because you're taking opportunities away from children. Let's quickly go down to Texas, because there's a fierce debate raging over school choice program there that would provide scholarships to 100,000 Texas kids to empower parents who don't have the resources to have the choices of the wealthy that Randi Weingarten was just complaining about. We give parents those resources to have more choices for their kids' education. Here is the lead witness testifying in the Texas state legislature, the lead witness opposing the school choice measure.
I am on a fellowship at the Education Law Center. The AFT is a contributor to the Education Law Center. If your question is by some transfer there, I have been subsidized over the last year by the AFT, I suppose the answer is yes.
Well, thank you. I appreciate your candor. So the main opposition to the Texas school choice bill, $1 billion for scholarships for up to 100,000 students. The main opponent is Randy Weingarten's organization and the teachers' unions writ large. She continued on Molly Jung Fast podcast, another MSNBCer.
Equally pernicious, they're saying, oh, don't worry, let's block grant it. So we'll give it to a state education department. Right. So, and then let the state education department decide what to do. So we know, for example, what Texas would do.
Right.
They'll use it for vouchers. So they won't give it to the kids who have it now. They'll just give it for vouchers.
Catholic schools, religious schools.
Oh, no, not religious schools.
So if you block grant the money to the states, then they won't use it for government schools. They'll use it in a place like Texas to provide more children with scholarships to attend whatever school they want. And that's terrible because it won't go to... Wait, I'm having a trouble following the logic here, as anybody who opposes, anybody who supports school choice should understand. And I know these arguments are not brand new, but they appear to be brand new to so many, or there is still this problem of penetrating the granite between the ears of so many. Because, listen to Randy Weingarten and then really replay that in your mind and work the logic of what she's saying. Money that is sent to the states, it would be great in Illinois because they would just drop ship it to school districts to fund the bureaucracy. In a place like Texas, heavens to Murgatroyd, they would provide scholarships to families so that they had the spending power to make a decision about their child's education, and that is a terrible development. I just want to understand the logic. How is that a terrible development? Is there no amount of academic evidence that can penetrate the consciousness of people who have been, I guess, addled by the demagoguery of the Randy Weingartens of the world for the last 30 years? It is stunning to me how the teachers' unions continue to get away with this when, in point of fact, their position is a distinct minority position. A majority of Americans, a majority even in Chicago and in Illinois, and that necessarily includes significant support from minority families, support school choice because the logic is inescapable. Oh, I get to make spending decisions for my kid? I get to have choices for my kid that I didn't have except for this scholarship program? So, of course, I support the scholarship program, which is why it still baffles me and disgusts me that the tax credit scholarship program in Illinois was killed by Pritzker and Welch and Democrats and cowardly Republicans and parents who didn't step up with not much of a fuss at all. Not much of a fuss at all.
No, there's a few protests, but just a few. 312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line. I mean, she made a compelling case for school choice with that comment. You know, billionaires have opportunities because they can send their kids to private schools with high-quality education, reading and writing. Well, why wouldn't you want that for everybody? If you have a scholarship program that's going to help thousands of kids in Texas, why not?
And what's going on in Illinois, by contrast? Even the Reds at the Chicago Tribune, at their editorial board, have picked up on this. A bill in Springfield could land parents in jail if they don't fill out paperwork properly. Of course.
In jail.
The HB 2827, which we referred to earlier in this week, we talked about with Ted Dabrowski. 2827, the Homeschool Act. Proponents sell it as legislation to properly regulate homeschooling. Sponsored by Tara Costa Howard, this ghoul from Lombard, representing places like Lombard and Glen Ellen. How embarrassed are you? How embarrassed are you in the western suburbs to have Tara Costa Howard, this pro-abortion, anti-school choice, anti-private school, regardless of denomination? Everything is to be run through the government. She is a government commissar. She is a ghoul. And she represents one of what used to be one of the most conservative areas in DuPage County and, by extension, the state. Pathetic. Her legislation to force homeschooling families to register, which is a bad idea that's been circulating among these government commissars in the General Assembly for generations. It's in response to a ProPublica expose that spotlighted Illinois' lack of homeschool oversight compared to most other states. Yeah, it's one of the few things that Illinois does right, which is to provide homeschooling families some academic and spiritual freedom when it comes to the education of their kids. And it's only because of the sort of plucky nature of homeschooling families, Christian Home Educators Coalition, and other groups that have put enough pressure on enough legislators over the years to stave off legislation like Tara Costa Howard's. Aspects of, they say, the Tribune, aspects of this measure make sense to us. It'd be helpful to see basic enrollment information in order to understand how many kids are in public versus private school as well as homeschools. That data would be instructive for education policymakers and families alike. Actually, it wouldn't, because you can't let the camel's nose under the tent. But, of course, the Tribune editorial board, being predisposed to look at those in government as representatives of our better angels when they're just the opposite, get it all wrong. This is the camel's nose under the tent so the government can screw around with private education and homeschooling families. There's much more to the measure, though. Provisions that make it unreasonable and overly intrusive. This is the Tribune's editorial board. And by the way, so a leftist editorial board is opining against this legislation, this latest power grab. And I'm sorry, where are Republicans? Where is the hue and cry? Where are the rallies? Where is the protest? Where are the op-eds? Honestly, if parents fail to fill out homeschool paperwork properly or give local education authorities timely notice, if they fail to do so, of their intent to homeschool, they could be charged with a Class C misdemeanor, punishable by 30 days in jail. The paperwork would include a yet-to-be-created form detailing personal information on homeschooling students. The bill outlines a set of minimum information requirements, but there are no restrictions on what additional data could be mandated. Campbell's nose under the tent, as I just said, meaning its scope could easily expand, and will, I'll add, you nitwits at the Tribune. God, you're Pollyannish. We dislike the open-ended nature of this information collection regimen. Yeah, that's just the beginning of it. So in Texas, and I mean, Texas has been a little bit behind the times. Greg Abbott had to primary some legislative Republicans in Texas to get school choice to the place it is now with this $1 billion, 100,000 scholarship program on the table. And here in Illinois, as you see the headlines and all these communist rags, the Socialist Worker or the Sun-Times, I can't distinguish between the two. Chaos, what chaos at the Education Department, the Department of Education means for Illinois. What's the chaos? Because there were layoffs? That's not chaotic. It seems like a reorganization. That is not chaos. What's chaos is what happens in Illinois, where we throw money around indiscriminately and don't care about the results, don't care about the actual education that is being provided, that is being afforded to students, and not just in Chicago, as I hasten to add, always, in all those leafy suburbs represented by animals like Tara Costa Howard, the Glenbard schools that you think are so great, that are not so great. And I have the data to prove it. You have your fond memories of what it used to be. The whole you want to be sickened. Whatever the human shrew Randy Weingarten can bring in terms of moral indignation and energy, I'll bring that 100x. And so should everybody else in Illinois be bringing it that way. Phil in Norridge.
Yeah, good morning, guys. I think you're so much more hip to all this stuff. A lot of your Illinoisans are not.
Yeah, including the entire Republican legislative caucuses.
Oh, sure. It's unbelievable. You think about when you ran and they did nothing for you. And here my cousin ran out in Lombard and they viciously attacked her on both sides because she was pro-Trump and all this. Mm-hmm. And when you look at now, as soon as Pritzker is looking at losing some federal money, we're going to put the whole state on lockdown and lock up my cousins because they homeschool their kids. They all went down to Springfield to protest. This state is so communist. They want full government control of every part of your life, or else you're supposed to go to prison. Doesn't matter if you're Democrat, Republican. And when you look at Cook County, they banter on DuPage County all the time. So, like when they were going through all this nonsense during COVID, they were putting advertisements on the radio. Do your part, DuPage. Like we're being publicly embarrassed and disciplined by Cook County. It's so dysfunctional. And now you have this schooling system, which is the worst in the world. I mean, they talk about how brutal the Catholic Church molestations are. Not comparison to public schools. The difference is the Catholic Church pays out. The public schools don't. I went to public schools. They're garbage. And you think about now they're going to lock people down and force them to go. That was a great point that you brought up. But the problem is I think your listening audience barely knows what you're talking about, much less the rest of the public in Illinois.
Thanks for the call, Phil. Well, here's the thing. If you can't, all this stand up for marginalized communities and the truly vulnerable and the little guy, they're thugs. They're thugs that prey on the little people, the regular people, the marginalized community, whatever that is. In other words, small groups of people that disagree with them, that live their lives a different way. And by the way, whose kids, homeschooling kids, generally outperform private school kids, not to mention the government school kids. So, and no one will stand up for them. No one will stand up for them when these animals, and they are animals, they are barbarians, they're Philistines, come for homeschooling kids. Meanwhile, in Texas and all around, we've got scholarships, and we've got choice, and we've got competition, and you see results improving as a result, starting just north of us in Milwaukee 30 years ago. But we just can't seem to get it through our skulls, and we just can't seem to muster up the courage to stand up to these goons, this goon political class, can we?
Coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
At 6:06, we'll pick up what Marco Rubio had to say about Mahmoud Khalil's continued stay in the USA. That's 6:06.
But now into the newsroom we go. Here's Mike Scott.
WIND Chicago News Time is 6 o'clock.
A potential government shutdown looms this weekend. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News. After Senate Democrats told Republicans they will not support the House-passed spending bill ahead of Friday's deadline, GOP Senator Ashley Moody tells Fox,
we're going to do everything we can to keep this government open. We're going to be the adults. We're going to let them throw their tantrum.
The House-passed CR aims to cut non-defense spending by roughly $13 billion, which Republicans say is essential. Democrats fear it will allow the Trump administration to dismantle more government, cut taxes for billionaires, and funnel corrupt contracts to SpaceX without protecting Social Security and Medicaid.
That's Fox's Kristen Goodwin. Secretary of State Marco Rubio is in Canada for a two-day meeting of G7 allies where tariffs will be a big issue after Canada and the European Union announced retaliatory tariffs to the U.S.'s levies on steel and aluminum imports. Helping Ukraine in the war against Russia, also a topic at that meeting as we await Russia's response to Ukraine agreeing to a 30-day ceasefire. President Trump again suggests sanctions on Russia.
I want to see peace, and we'll see. But in a financial sense, yeah, we could do things very bad for Russia. It would be devastating for Russia, but I don't want to do that because I want to see peace. And we're getting close to maybe getting something done.
Today, the president will meet at the White House with the leader of NATO, which has been helping the U.S. arm Ukraine in that war. An anti-Trump protest in New York City.
Terrorists are in the White House!
Demanding who they call a political prisoner be freed. That's outside the court where a federal judge ordered Mahmoud Khalil to remain in custody in Louisiana while still considering the U.S. attempt to deport Khalil, a legal resident with a green card, accusing him of supporting Hamas in anti-Israel protests at Columbia University last year. Disappointment for SpaceX.
Unfortunately, we are scrubbing for today's launch.
A hydraulic issue delayed a mission to the International Space Station to bring two stranded astronauts home. Butch Wilmore and Sonny Williams have been there since June after the Boeing spacecraft that took them there had technical problems. America's listening to Fox News.
"34 degrees in Chicago at 6:02 on AM 560. The Answer. And good morning, everyone. I'm Mike Scott. An investigation continues after a man was shot outside O'Hare. Police say shots were fired yesterday outside Terminal 2 after a fight broke out. One man has now been brought in for questioning by detectives. Officials are calling a bomb threat against UIC Hospital unfounded. For about 20 minutes, the school and the hospital issued statements saying that the threat was reported, telling the public to evacuate. The school short time later, issued a statement saying the situation was all clear and that regular campus activities were continuing. Chicago aldermen are rejecting an proposed ban on the sale of new fur products in the city.
Where we've lost our sense of compassion and empathy for other living things.
A proposed ordinance that would have banned the sale of products made with animal fur was voted down yesterday by the Chicago City Council. Opponents of the measure believed it was too extreme.
It goes beyond just the sale of furs, but it prohibits the sale of UGG boots. Gentlemen, every woman in your life has a pair of UGG boots. I want you to know.
Ordinance failed on a 26-19 vote. Authorities are investigating after a man was found dead inside of a storage facility on Chicago's northwest side. Cook County Medical Examiner's Office says a 73-year-old man's body was located yesterday inside the Cube Smart storage facility along North Kedzie Avenue. With the spring legislative session underway, GOP lawmakers are outlining what they want to accomplish. Public safety, a priority for the minority party, according to Republican Representative Patrick Windhorst.
In response to the Democrats' lurch to the left on public safety issues, I am leading a House Republican working group that is sponsoring a legislative agenda aimed at fixing the very real crime problem we have in Illinois.
The GOP pointed to Democrat legislative bills this session that would legalize prostitution and allow judges to reduce sentences for convicted murderers. The spring session of the General Assembly runs through the end of May. Bulls take on the Nets tonight. Blackhawks visit San Jose. Men's college tournament basketball, Notre Dame exits the ACC with a loss to North Carolina, 76-56. Northwestern moves on with a win over Minnesota, 72-64. They take on Wisconsin this afternoon. The Fighting Illini take on Iowa this evening. Spring baseball, the Cubs in Japan, and the Southsiders tied the Angels 1-1. A check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
This week on Capitol Hill is the best way to get informed on everything going on with Congress. Hosted by Tony Perkins and the Speaker of the House, Mike Johnson.
There's no daylight between the Senate and the House. The media has been trying to divide the two chambers, trying to divide Republicans against one another. We're not having that. We're all on exactly the same team. We all want to check each of these boxes.
Stay informed and become a regular listener. This week on Capitol Hill, Sundays at 1 on AM 560. The Answer. Sign up for the AM 560 Answer Advantage to get early alerts on event ticket sales, special discounts, and contest opportunities. Sign up today at 560theanswer.com/advantage.
Honey, we're not moving, but we gotta do something about this kitchen.
Funny you mention it. I just stopped by Forever Remodeling's new showroom in Niles. I saw over a dozen kitchen and bathroom layouts they designed. They even offered to stop by the house and give us a free in-home design consultation.
What'd you tell them?
That we're free today?
Visit foreverremodeling.com today. That's the number 4, everremodeling.com. Forever Remodeling, stress-free and high-quality remodeling.
Salem News Channel is America's fastest growing conservative TV network.
It's an absolute crazy day.
Home to the largest lineup of free speech champions anywhere. Delivering in-depth insight and unapologetic opinion on today's biggest news stories.
Americans aren't going to put up with this anymore.
SNC brings you the news that matters, told with integrity and clarity. Watch Salem News Channel free 24/7 on your television. Stream now on Xumo Play.
When you hear the term living better, what do you think about? More money? A bigger house? Maybe a yacht? What about how you feel physically? How you wake up each day? How you sleep? What activities you can and cannot do? When you feel good, life is good. So if pain is affecting your life, see how Relief Factor can help. Relief Factor is a daily supplement that fights pain naturally. Developed by doctors, it doesn't just mask pain temporarily, it helps reduce or even eliminate pain. In fact, the longer you take it, the more effective it is. So give their 3-week quick start a try. It's only $19.95, less than $1 a day. And it just takes a phone call, 1-800-4-RELIEF. That's 1-800-4-RELIEF. Wherever you're hurting, in 3 weeks or even days, Relief Factor can give you a chance to rediscover the true meaning of living better again. Visit ReliefFactor.com or call 1-800-4-RELIEF. That's 1-800-4-RELIEF.
Hey, Carl Jackson here for Dennis Prager. While Dennis Prager is recuperating, we know you miss your daily dose of Dennis. That's why Pragertopia is giving you a special gift. Right now, Pragertopia members can hear the best 2 hours of Dennis's favorite segments from as far back as 2010. On Monday, you can hear the Happiness Hour.
Life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. That's what I'm about.
Tuesday is Celebrity Guest Day.
Donald Trump Jr. is in studio with me.
On Wednesday, it's the Male-Female Hour.
I really do wish there were a way to ascertain the number of marriages that this hour has helped.
Thursday, the Ultimate Issues Hour.
Not having ultimate issues clarity is like having a map, but you don't know where you're going.
And Friday is Open Lines.
Feel free to ask me anything about me, about you, about life.
So if you're missing your daily dose of Dennis, go to Pragertopia.com and hear all your favorite segments along with lectures, celebrity interviews, and his famous Torah teachings and more. Get your daily dose of Dennis at Pragertopia.com, Pragertopia.com.
6:09. Let's get an update on the roads. Team Hochberg Traffic Center time. Outbound on the Kennedy, you've got a jam spot heading out to the big airport this morning between Cumberland and I-190. Stevenson inbound already at 30 minutes from 355 into DuSable Lakeshore Drive. I-80, you've got a vehicle fire burning eastbound right before LaGrange Road. Now, all the lanes are open, but there's heavy morning delays there as emergency equipment arrives on the scene. Traffic, a service of Fox Valley Coins. Bring your gold or silver in store today. Each item priced right in front of you. The coins never leave your sight. Receive cash or check right on the spot. FoxValleyCoins.com. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next. AM 560 Weather Center forecast with Steve Williams.
Sunshine, mild day. High today 60. Clear to partly cloudy tonight, low 50. Partly sunny, breezy, warmer. Severe thunderstorm by tomorrow night. High tomorrow 75. Variable cloudiness. A windy day on Saturday, the high 66. I'm Steve Williams on AM 560. The Answer.
Right now 34 at O'Hare. Your next news update is at 6:30, and Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560. The Answer.
This hourly segment is brought to you by Health Quest Radio with Dr. David Kolbaba. Saturday mornings at 11. Visit healthquestradio.com.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios.
This is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560. The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. A comment on what you heard on Mike Scott's newscast about the state representative Republican from Southern Illinois, Patrick Windhorst. This is what I'm talking about. Patrick Windhorst is a former prosecutor. And the big announcement from the Republican Party in March of 2025 is that he's getting together a working group of legislators to come up with a public safety agenda to respond to the leftward tilt of the new Marxist Party when it comes to public safety. Are you kidding me?
Where were they 10 years ago?
Well, how long? How many? Yeah, for how long have you been asleep, Rumpelstiltskin? What? They could not have their heads further up their backsides. Pathetic. Gee whiz.
It's exhausting, huh?
I did want to address this too, because I have a good source over at O'Hare, and I have a drop on what happened with that shooting there yesterday. Sort of like what was the real story behind the altercation led to the shooting. You know, two gentlemen had an altercation. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, right.
Yes.
I mean, why did they say, and CNN was saying two men had an altercation. Like there's some gentleman that just got off a flight from Peru. I mean, these were gangbangers, and the guy had an AK-47 and unleashed 30 rounds. Dan, can you imagine if the airport was crowded, how many people would be dead?
It's unusual to have a shooting at O'Hare, but maybe it will be less and less so because of this news that we've just heard from the Republican Party that there's been a little bit of a leftward tinge when it comes to public safety. So here's what I understand to be true from a reliable source. So, and this is sort of his words. So apparently some quote-unquote famous rapper was on an inbound Spirit Airlines flight from Atlanta with roughly $100,000 in jewelry on. Well, first of all, famous rapper on Spirit Airlines, those two things don't really go together, but okay.
Stop it.
I
think that's the last flight out of Atlanta, and I only know that because I fly to Georgia Tech a lot.
Do you fly with famous rappers normally?
No, but I've been on planes. I mean, I've been on Spirit. I don't mind Spirit Airlines.
Yeah, I've been on Spirit too. I don't care. Whatever's cheapest and quickest.
All walks of life on Spirit.
There's all walks of life everywhere, all the time.
Okay,
it's part of the problem. So some apparently famous rapper was on an inbound Spirit Airlines flight from Atlanta with roughly $100K in jewelry on. Another bird on the flight lets his boys in Chicago know, and two guys show up to rob the rapper of his jewelry.
At baggage claim.
Doesn't go as planned. They end up getting their asses kicked by his posse, so one of the two robbers goes out to his car and gets a gun, comes back, fires at the posse, but who does he hit? His fellow robber. So after he's shot, they continue to kick his ass while the other robber takes off. You can't make this stuff up. That's what I understand to be true from a reliable source at O'Hare.
And they had communication.
What went down.
Yeah, they had communication problems because now O'Hare police officers are on the same channel as streets and sand guys instead of being on the same channel as other Chicago police officers. So that's why there was some chaos going on and who's responding.
Well, never have the streets and sands guys come over and take care of it.
They get at the snowplow contest.
They'll do just the streets and sands guys will do just as good, and they don't have the same COPA oversight as the police do. So
well, normally the officers at O'Hare are kind of on the driveway home, so to speak, like they're about to retire, so they get the cushy job at O'Hare where you don't really have to face shootings, but now they do because of that. So again, we're lucky the airport wasn't crowded because that would have been a deadly event.
Well, if you're on a flight with a rapper who's bejeweled and you're flying into O'Hare, you may want to keep your distance at baggage claim until the area clears. There's a little safety tip for you. A little airline flight safety tip. All right, moving on to the story that we talked about quite extensively yesterday. This Mahmoud Khalil, the pro-Hamas organizer at Columbia University, who is scheduled for deportation and has become a cause celeb of the left. Yesterday, we heard from Mahmoud Khalil's wife through one of their attorneys. Interesting, one of their attorneys. All the leftist attorneys rushing to take up this case to get a little piece of the publicity. This is the statement of the wife as read by one of their attorneys.
My husband was kidnapped from our home, and it's shameful that the United States government continues to hold him because he stood for the rights and lives of his people. I demand his immediate release and return to our family. His disappearance has devastated our lives. Every day without him is filled with uncertainty, not just for me, but for our entire family and community. Our loved ones are struggling with the pain and fear of his sudden absence. And yet, we are not alone. So many who know and love Mahmoud have come together, refusing to stay silent. Their support is a testament to his character and to the deep injustice of what is being done to him. Thank you.
Could the guy shouting Free Palestine and banging a cowbell in the background just holster it for a minute while I read this statement, for goodness sakes?
I was thinking the same thing, like, hello,
Jesus.
focus. 312-642-5600 is our turnkey.pro answer line. You can also text us on the very same line.
Well, that is not terribly persuasive to the administration. Marco Rubio, Secretary of State, had more color on this story and sort of a straightforward explanation, like we provided yesterday, as to what the law provides for in this country.
President Trump appealed to a lot of Americans during his campaign on free speech arguments and not suppressing speech, especially from the government. But your revocation of the green card, to many, is seen as one of the most anti-speech actions a secretary can take with his powers. How do you respond?
Yeah, when you enter this is an important point, and I'm glad you asked this question. When you come to the United States as a visitor, which is what a visa is, which is how this individual entered this country, on a visitor's visa, okay, you are here as a visitor. We can deny you that visa. We can deny you that if you tell us when you apply, hi, I'm trying to get into the United States on a student visa. I am a big supporter of Hamas, a murderous, barbaric group that kidnaps children, that rapes teenage girls, that takes hostages, that allows them to die in captivity, that returns more bodies than live hostages. If you tell us that you are in favor of a group like this, and if you tell us when you apply for your visa, and by the way, I intend to come to your country as a student, and rile up all kinds of anti-Jewish student, anti-Semitic activities. I intend to shut down your universities. If you told us all these things when you applied for a visa, we would deny your visa. I hope we would. If you actually end up doing that, once you're in this country on such a visa, we will revoke it. And if you end up having a green card, not citizenship, but a green card as a result of that visa while you're here in those activities, we're going to kick you out. It's as simple as that. This is not about free speech. This is about people that don't have a right to be in the United States to begin with. No one has a right to a student visa. No one has a right to a green card, by the way. So when you apply for a student visa, or any visa to enter the United States, we have a right to deny you for virtually any reason. But I think being a supporter of Hamas and coming into our universities and turning them upside down and being complicit in what are clearly crimes of vandalization, complicit in shutting down learning institutions. There are kids at these schools that can't go to class. You pay all this money to these high-priced schools that are supposed to be of great esteem, and you can't even go to class. You're afraid to go to class because these lunatics are running around with covers on their face, screaming terrifying things. If you told us that's what you intended to do when you came to America, we would have never let you in. And if you do it once you get in, we're going to revoke it and kick you out.
Yeah, there's no natural right to a green card or to a student visa. It's not a speech case, as we talked about yesterday. And there's law that governs what Rubio did and then the rest of the process to expel Mr. Khalil so he can, as Rubio said, you can join his brothers in arms on the front.
312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line. I have no sympathy for this guy. And again, these Democratic senators, and well, any lawmaker that takes a picture and puts on social media, free him. Are they out of their minds? I mean, Hamas, the group that is still holding some Americans hostage, he aligns with. He walks as one with Hamas.
And again,
he shouldn't be here. I mean, I had a student visa when I lived in Spain, and it said on there at any point in time, if you get into something about political activities with the Basque country, because I was in northern Spain, that we have the right to remove you. And that's fine. So you live by their rules, you play their game, you just follow the rules of that country, and you get to stay. It's real simple. But he didn't follow the rules. And he even also implicated no-go zones to keep Jewish Americans out of certain spots at Columbia University.
Well, and the larger point, too, is this is not just about anti-Semitism. It's about anti-Americanism.
Yeah.
All the hate, the scorn that you see from these same people. The emphasis is on anti-Semitism, which is fine and appropriate, but there should also be some room to include, to advance the understanding that they're anti-American, they're anti-West. Matthew Hennessy had a good piece in the Journal about this. If you hate America, why come here? If America is so racist, imperial, and bad, why do so many of them come here? Why don't they stay where they are? It's a fair question, and you're not a bigot for wondering. The answer? They couldn't stay. Some were driven to emigrate by persecution or poverty. Most left for the simple reason that America is irresistible. They long to live in freedom, which is the secret desire of every human heart. They wanted what we have, opportunity, prosperity, and big cars, the things they profess to hate about us. They probably hate themselves for that. Many of the most anti-American immigrants are here to study at our colleges and universities. Some marry U.S. citizens. All make full use of America's unique freedoms while running down the country every chance they get. Mr. Khalil checks all the boxes: perpetual student, preppy wardrobe, revolutionary zealot, American wife. As a graduate student organizer during the campus anti-Israel protests last year, he enjoyed far more freedom of speech than he could ever dreamed of in Syria, where he was apparently born, or in Lebanon, where he apparently got his undergraduate degree. The question for us is whether Americans should tolerate immigrants who don't appreciate how lucky they are to be here. Gratitude isn't required, but it isn't unwelcome either. When you're a guest, it's more than bad manners to cheer the slaughter of your host's friends. It's abhorrent. And he goes on from there, but it's just a good sort of commentary at the common sense level here, just separating out arguments over the provisions in the Immigration and Naturalization Act, just thinking about this in terms of societal norms. And by societal norms, I mean the norms of a free society. What are we doing? I mean, it's the same thing that we've talked about when you have immigrants from Mexico or South American countries or wherever waving their flags in protests of, say, immigration policy. Yeah, well, you're happy to wave your flag, but because you don't want to go back to where you are so proud to be from. Well, what does that say? They're so bound up in their own conflicts they can't see straight. But that's no excuse. And in the case of Mr. Khalil and others, even if you, because he has a right to, I mean, that here you can hate on America, you can have noxious views about Jewish people or about any other group and so forth, but allying with Hamas, as Marco Rubio detailed, the violence that these protests have been attended to these protests, the collaboration that needs to be investigated. Where was the money coming from, for example? I mean, yesterday, 12 protesters were arrested. So here again, the violence, the lawlessness that is attendant to these protests. These are people that have no respect for free society. Why would we want to import them? And to the extent that they come here under false pretenses only to reveal themselves, they have no right to stay.
No. None whatsoever. And the only thing I'm worried about, because this morning he still remains in that Louisiana prison, his wife is due next month, and she is American, and they are officially married. So I don't know if that's going to play in on all this either.
Tom Homan was on Varney yesterday taking up this matter as well.
Oh, can you deport a legal immigrant?
Absolutely we can. I mean, did he violate the terms of his visa? Did he violate the terms of his residency here? Committing crimes, attacking Israeli students, locking down buildings, destroying property. Absolutely. Any resident alien who commits a crime is eligible for deportation. And that's just one out of many. We're going to send a strong message to anybody here on a foreign visa that you're given a great a right to come to the greatest country on earth and study in our colleges. But when you come here to study, you got to obey the laws of this country. You got to obey the requirements of that visa to be lawful while you're here. So it's a great privilege to study in this country, but when we give you that right to study in this country, don't violate our laws.
And speaking of Tom Homan, so he was invited by New York Republicans to testify as to ICE operations in New York, and he mentioned that if Kathy Hochul continues to set up roadblocks to ICE, ICE will continue to devote more resources to get around those roadblocks. But when he was there, as he's walking through the hallway in the Capitol, and the screaming, the hysteria directed his way, and he pulled a Pierre Poilievre, he's just like eating an apple while people are screaming at him. But just to give you a sense of what the big blue city America still is, this legislator in New York named Zoran Mamdani. Zoran Mamdani. He's a state legislator. He's also a mayoral candidate in New York. And I understand that he's like tracking just behind Andrew Cuomo right now.
Okay.
Listen to this guy.
Can you deport a legal
that's not him.
immigrant?
This is.
That's fine. What in the world?
He's if you see the video, he's got a state trooper in front of him. He's like jumping up and down and pointing and screaming like a banshee at Tom Homan. I mean, these are not well-adjusted people, and you want to give them political power?
Not that guy. Text message: Dan and Amy. I wonder if Khalil and his wife are getting money from the government.
Ed on the north side.
Yeah, I just want to say, this guy Khalil, he's just here to cause disruption. That's what, all these Palestinians are all about. They want to turn the United States into another Europe. And I'm glad that Trump is planning on deporting this guy. I hope he does it regardless of what the courts say. Just like Andrew Jackson when he kicked the Cherokee Indians out of Georgia. He ignored the court order, and he got away with it. And I say Trump can do the same thing.
Well, let's stay within the bounds of the rule of law, shall we? It's just so much better.
Well,
the left's precedents notwithstanding, we want to maintain the moral high ground. And there's no reason that we shouldn't employ the rule of law because the law, as written and properly interpreted, is on the president's side. Tom in Blue Island.
Good morning, Dan and Amy. So, Dan and Amy, I don't think you guys could have covered, I don't think anyone could cover a segment better than this in the last 15 minutes.
No one could.
How do people come, I can't imagine being a guest in another country and acting the way people act when they come to the United States. I remember that poor kid that I believe his name was Otto, and maybe Warmby or
Otto Warmby, in North Korea.
He did something.
Yeah, right.
I think he did something stupid like, he pulled like a political sign down or something, and he shouldn't have. But the way Americans get treated in other countries, I can't imagine. Around here in Blue Island in September, they had I don't know if it's Mexican Independence Day or whatever. Mm-hmm. Every person, right? There's Mexican flags everywhere. You would think you're in another country, and all I can think is, I can't imagine living in Mexico and on the 4th of July riding around with a USA American flag on my car. I'd feel like an idiot. If you feel that strongly, then stop sucking off the American teat and just go back to where you're from if you're that adamant about it.
Thanks for the call, Tom. I mean, the Mexican Independence Day stuff and all the various different days of, people celebrating their cultural heritage, I'm fine with all that. But it would be nice.
Get back to your condo, remember? During Mexican Heritage Day or weekend or month, remember
that? Yes. It's happened a couple times. But that's the fault of the city of Chicago for allowing it to get out of control. But it would be nice in all of those, not just Mexican Independence Day, but St. Patrick's Day, Puerto Rican Heritage Day, and on and on and on. It would be nice. Some of those you see a lot of American flags with a flag of their country of origin or heritage. Mm-hmm. It'd be nice to see more. I'm fine with the Mexican flag out the window, but it'd be nice to see the Mexican flag and the American flag. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, that's not going to happen.
It does happen. It does happen.
No,
I'd like to see more of it.
Okay.
And it is, as Matthew Hennessy said here, gratitude isn't required, but it's not unwelcome either. You're allowed to be appreciative that either you were lucky by act of God that you were born in this country, or that you were lucky that you made it to this country and are here and enjoying all this country has to offer. A little bit of gratitude, not unwarranted. All right, coming up.
Well, real quick. I mean, the 3600 block of Sealy, There's a Palestinian flag, gay pride flag.
That's interesting. Those two together.
Oh, yeah, right next to each other. And then across the street, somebody has an American flag. There's a White Sox flag. I'm so sorry for that homeowner. But it's just like, you're right. They should fly the American flag and their country's flag simultaneously.
You don't have to.
The American flag always being a little bit higher than theirs.
Yeah, you don't have to. Nobody's saying you have to do anything. It just would be a nice form. And by the way, if you're, a queer for Hamas, you should maybe contact Michelle Obama per her podcast and see if she can help you work out your problems.
Okay. Coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
We'll return to K through 12 education as well as the future of the Department of SED with Mike McShane, 636.
But now into the newsroom we go. Here is Mike Scott. Good morning, Mike.
34 degrees at 6:33. President Trump says U.S. officials are going to Russia to talk about a possible ceasefire with Ukraine. That on the heels of Senator Lindsey Graham saying he's introducing bipartisan sanctions against Russia today.
The one thing that happened is they put pressure on Ukraine, and it worked. It's time to put pressure on Russia.
Speaking to reporters last night, the South Carolina Republican said the ball is now in Russia's court. Meantime, the head of NATO in Washington, he'll meet with President Trump today. 6 Americans who were imprisoned in Kuwait are now free. A representative for the families announced they've been returned to the U.S. last night. All the remaining illegal immigrants at Guantanamo Bay have been moved back stateside. A Defense Department official saying that 40 men being held at Naval Base Guantanamo in Cuba have been flown to an ICE facility in Alexandria, Louisiana. NASA will try again to and launch a mission to retrieve 2 stranded astronauts from the International Space Station. President Trump shared a conversation he's had with Elon Musk about the 2 stranded astronauts.
We have 2 people up there that Biden and Kamala left up there, and he knows it very well. I said, "Are you equipped to get him?" He said, "Yeah, he's got a Starship, and they're preparing it right now." And
Butch Wilmore and Sonny Williams have been stuck on the International Space Station since their Boeing Starliner aircraft suffered mechanical issues. An investigation continues after a man was shot outside O'Hare. Police say shots were fired yesterday on the lower level of Terminal 2 near the baggage claim after a brawl broke out. New videos and documents detailing a deadly shooting involving Chicago police and a burglary suspect on the city's southwest side last month have been released by COPA. It all relates to a shooting from Sunday, February 2nd in the North Lawndale neighborhood. When police arrived after being called out on a burglary in progress, they encountered an individual running from a nearby building who later opened fire on police. Only then did officers return fire. The suspect's gun was recovered at the scene. Chicago aldermen rejecting a proposal by Ray Lopez to ban the sale of new fur products in the city.
We have a society where we've lost our sense of compassion and empathy for other living things.
The proposed ordinance failed on a 26-19 vote. Indiana Governor Mike Braun says that state's environmental policy will be based solely on sound science and not a political agenda. Braun issued a pair of executive orders yesterday banning the use of environmental justice as a determining factor in permitting, grant, or enforcement decisions. Chicago sports. Bulls go for win number 4 in a row when they host Brooklyn tonight. Blackhawks visit San Jose. College tournament basketball. Notre Dame exits the ACC tournament with a loss to North Carolina. Northwestern moves on to face Wisconsin this afternoon after a win over Minnesota. Fighting Illini begin their Big Ten tournament run against Iowa this evening. Iowa barely beating Ohio State to move on. DePaul beat Georgetown 71-67. And in the A-10, Loyola will take on either St. Louis or Davidson. The news, a service of AlmostFreeTeeth.com. What if you could save an average of 90% for dental implants and get 100% of your smile back. Check if you qualify at almostfreeteeth.com. A check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
News.
A partial reprieve on some tariffs.
It happens every day.
He said that before, and he switched his mind. He needs to drop all tariffs.
And what happens next?
The Trump administration continues to pile pressure on President Zelensky to end the war.
Happens here.
Those cuts have affected at least 18 federal departments and agencies.
I'm not even looking at the market because long term, the United States will be very strong with what's happening here.
On AM 560, The Answer.
Did you know that AM 560 Radio has a full-service digital marketing division called Salem Surround? If you're a business decision maker, listen up. AM 560 listeners are everywhere your potential audience is. So are our incredible targeting capabilities. We localize digital marketing and put it within reach of every business, small and large, in Chicagoland and beyond. Salem Surround offers AI-powered marketing solutions that reach your ideal audience. Whether or not you tap into the proven live, local, and emotional connection that AM 560 Radio brings, Salem Surround offers a total marketing solution to our partners. All-in-one digital solutions that provide targeted local digital and social media ads, Google AdWords management, website services, video strategy, search optimization, and even a management dashboard to offer you total campaign updates and transparency. Your Salem Surround representative is located right here in Chicago. Experience the Salem Surround digital revolution today. Call 847-472-8951. That's 847-472-8951.
Rick Borick, host of Unleash Your Wealth, talks about the importance of tax planning in retirement.
A qualified financial planner can take you through all the steps to show you every single legal way you can use to reduce and minimize your state income taxes across the board so that, again, you keep more of your money and your family keeps more of your money.
Unleash Your Wealth, Saturday at 7 a.m. and our new time at 2 p.m. here on AM 560, The Answer.
Attention American homeowners, you're under attack. Your home and equity could be vulnerable to cyber thieves. There's only one company that completely stops them, and that company is Equity Protect. Equity Protect prevents any attempts to steal your home, equity, and ownership 24/7. Get your free risk report today by texting the word HOME to 94878. That's right, text the word HOME to 94878 to get your free risk report. Keep your equity and legacy safe with Equity Protect.
Hair Volume is the best-selling hair tablet in the world and one of many award-winning natural hair products from New Nordic. Purchase at newnordicusa.com or CVS.
640 Team Hochberg Traffic Center time, a service of Lowe's. Lowe's knows your business is built on speed. That's why the Lowe's Pro Desk will help you get what you need. Just visit them at the Pro Desk. They help, you save. I-80 busy this morning. They cleared an accident eastbound before LaGrange Road, and it has been replaced by an eastbound accident at Wolf Road. University Park. Central Avenue between Stunkel and Stager remains shut down due to a level 2 hazardous materials situation. It's an ammonia leak. And there's a water main break for you this morning to deal with in Cicero. Cicero's down to one lane between 37th Avenue and 33rd Place. Your alternative right now is Laramie, as that water main break in Cicero is being dealt with. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next. Now your official Chicagoland weather forecast. Sunny and mild with a high near 60. It's partly cloudy and 34 right now. Your next news update is at 7. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios.
Only the biggest stories, only the biggest guests, and only the biggest opinions. This is AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. I got to make a correction. I hate when I do this. I hate when I offer a misspoken cultural reference, but I confused my Brothers Grimm with my Washington Irving. I made a Rumpelstiltskin reference when I meant to make a Rip Van Winkle reference in terms of the Republican Party in Illinois being asleep low these many years. So anyway, correcting.
And I made a mistake earlier. I didn't know that Craig Robinson was divorced, and He is divorced. Hence the podcast where they're going to give advice on pretty much about everything, politics, life, and marriage.
It's very exciting, although not very many people find it exciting so far, apparently.
25,000 views, that's it. Oof.
All right, we talked about it a bit last hour. I want to talk about it some more. The expected reaction from the usual quarters to the news out earlier this week that 1,300 and some odd Department of Education employees would be relieved of their positions, with maybe another 1,000 or so to go, reducing the headcount there by half. Linda McMahon, the Department of Education Secretary, saying her charge is to basically wind down the agency. So some of that can be done through reductions in force and repurposing of funds, and some of that will be required of Congress if the agency is to go away altogether. Here's Randy Weingarten blathering on about it on MSNBC and with MSNBC flacks like Molly Jong-Fast.
Is why so many people are so mad about it, because they're just taking opportunity away from kids that don't have it. So billionaires, kids of billionaires, they have it. They go to private schools. Everyone else, 90%, go to public schools. Don't take away their opportunity.
So let's stay on the facts.
Sorry,
no,
I'm
do
really
not apologize.
angry about this.
No, because this
I'm
is what
really
people
angry.
need to hear.
I taught kids in Clara Barton High School in Brooklyn, New York.
She's very passionate about funding the education bureaucracy at the state and local level with federal dollars. She's very passionate about that. And this is why, the alternative of block granting federal dollars to states to use at their discretion when it comes to K through 12 is a non-starter for her.
Equally pernicious, they're saying, oh, don't worry, let's block grant it. So we'll give it to a state education department. Right. So, and then let the state education department decide what to do. So we know, for example, what Texas would do.
Right.
They'll use it
We
for
do.
vouchers. So they won't give it to the kids who have it now. They'll just give it for vouchers. Catholic schools, religious schools.
Yeah, I mean, could you think of a situation worse than, rather than funding a centralized bureaucracy, you give those resources to families to make individual decisions about their child's education? Could you imagine living in a dystopia like that?
And by the way, the school where she taught, Clara Barton High School, the school often ranks low among New York high schools due to issues like absenteeism and poor exam results.
Michael McShane is the director of national research at EdChoice. He's also the co-author of Getting Education Right, a conservative vision for improving early childhood, K-12, and college, that he co-authored with our friend Rick Hess from the American Enterprise Institute. Michael McShane, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
Hey, good morning.
So you heard from Randy Weingarten on behalf of all the teachers in the American Federation of Teachers and teachers union apparatchiks around the country. Block granting it, unacceptable. Voucherizing it, unacceptable. Status quo, that's what's acceptable.
Well, this is what's so funny is that if you wind back to history a little bit and you think about times in which actually Republicans, George W. Bush, were pushing for a more muscular federal role, so actually having the federal government play a bigger role in education by doing this crazy idea of trying to measure whether or not the billions and billions of dollars actually did anything. It was the Randy Weingartens of the world who hated that. They were like, no, we don't want to have a big federal role in government. So if anything, she's kind of one of the authors of this, because when Joe Biden came in and any of the stuff that Democrats had sort of tepidly tried to advance with related to education reform, and he said, basically, we're not doing any of that. I'm going to basically give the unions whatever the heck they want on any issue. Now people say, well, then what really is the point of the Federal Department of Education? If it's really just conduits of federal money, why not block grant it? So it's a cruel irony.
Texas might.
It's a hilarious irony.
Well, but the why not block grant? You heard that's just as pernicious because some states might not use it to just turn around and just block grant it to government school districts. Some states could use it, heaven forbid, to fund scholarships for kids so the parents can make their own choices. We don't want that.
Oh no. What could possibly be so terrible about that? Yeah, I mean, look, I think it's important for people to realize when it comes to the federal role in education that in K-12, they spend about 10 cents of every dollar. The vast majority of that money is appropriated by Congress in two programs, Title I, which is money for low-income students, and IDEA, which is additional funding for students with special needs. And I think all of us have to ask these questions. Okay, the Department of Education has been around since 1979. This has been the primary thing that it's supposed to do, is help low-income kids and students with special needs. How are we doing? Do we think that these investments have paid off? Do we think that the oversight that they've given has paid off? And if not, what is this big problem with trying something different and saying, hey, listen, maybe we're too far removed from the classrooms and the teachers and the schools to effectively administer this? We do want to provide this additional funding because we know low-income kids and students with special needs cost more to educate. That's fair enough. But why don't we just push the money to the people closest to the decision-making and empower them to solve problems for their students?
Can you just provide us with some of the sort of the best and latest data research on the performance of kids in scholarship systems that feature scholarships, so a kid can take his scholarship and go to the private or public school of his choice? You know, compare that to the centralized Politburo model practice in places like Chicago.
Yeah, I can tell you, with respect to private school choice, there have been 17 randomized control trials. This is the highest standard of research where you hold a lottery, half the kids get, some places there are vouchers or scholarships or whatever the term of them is, half the kids don't. We compare the outcomes. 11 of those found positive results, 4 found no difference between the treatment and control group, and 2 found negative results. When you look at attainment, which is students graduating from high school or matriculating to college, there have been 7 studies of those. 5 of them found positive results. I think 2 found no results between treatment and control. And on a host of other issues, whether it comes to safety, desegregation, civic values and outcomes, parent satisfaction, fiscal effects, hundreds of studies have been conducted, the vast majority of which have shown that the private school choice model, those schools and the students that are in them perform better than similarly situated students in traditional public schools.
Right. I mean, it just seems so commonsensical, even if you didn't have the studies. And in every other aspect of life, people like choices. They like to choose what fits them best. And for some reason, in K through 12 education, if you don't have the resources that provide choice, you're supposed to just settle for wherever you are able to move and whatever they provide at the local level. This discrimination by address and household income that occurs. It's the most really silly argument, and yet despite the fact that it's not even a popular argument anymore, I think a lot of scales have fallen from a lot of eyes over the last 30 years. Despite the fact it's not a popular argument, the systems, these Politburo-style systems in big cities in particular, in blue states in particular, persist.
Well, and I want to, if there's one more empirical finding that I can share with you that I think a totally reasonable concern that people have. People say, well, okay, if you are to give students vouchers or education savings accounts or tax credit scholarships, whatever you want to call them, what about the kids who are left behind in public schools? Sure, they can have an opportunity to go somewhere else, and that'll be good for them. I can tell you the overwhelming empirical evidence, and there's basically no debate of this in the academic community, which is a wild place to be, and most things there have been meta-analyses that have shown this, that the students who remain behind in public schools do better as a result of the competition from private school choice programs, and as a result of allowing students, as you mentioned, to be able to sort into schools that best fit their needs. It's good for the student who gets to go to that new school, but it's also great for the kids in the old school, because if that kid was in the classroom not doing well, that's taking time and energy and resources to help them when it's just not a good fit for them. So they move on to a school that works for them, and the kids that are left behind in the traditional public schools are better off as well, because the only people that are there are the ones who are thriving in that environment.
I see that yesterday you had an opportunity to talk about school choice research in front of Congress. Did you persuade any of those lawmakers to maybe change their mind?
As much as I would love to think my eloquence carried the day, I have to be honest, in some ways it was a frustrating hearing. In other ways, it was a very illuminating hearing. because I think and you can go back and watch it on YouTube, I think many of the Republican congresspeople had really great questions where they were really trying to get to the nub of the issue. And unfortunately, it seemed like a lot of the legislators on the other side of the aisle were just sort of repeating the same talking points. And even when evidence was presented to the contrary, where it's like, you think this, well, here's a bunch of evidence that shows that maybe that's not true. Just the next person, when they got their 5 minutes, just sort of asked the same questions over again or asserted the same things. And the Republicans would redirect and say, like, well, wait a second. Is there any research on this? Yes. The research doesn't show that. No, it doesn't.
Yeah.
To that. So it was a little frustrating in that way.
Well, I mean, these legislators that are wholly owned subsidiaries of the teachers' unions are just, beyond reach. But, but I also want to emphasize that school choice is not a panacea. So the schools can be better, but still not good enough in terms of what we should expect, the kind of education being provided. And we see that with the NAEP scores. And so I wonder what else we should be thinking about and talking about in addition to how money flows and who gets to make spending decisions.
That's a fantastic question, because I think of even where we are in the school choice movement right now. As you've mentioned, states all across the country are adopting some of these big universal programs that I think really represent a substantial change, but there's still a small number of states that have really gone full bore. I think of that line from Winston Churchill that says, this isn't the end, it's not even the beginning of the end, but it may be the end of the beginning. And so now I think we have to get to some of the questions that you raised here, which is thinking about how do these new schools get great teachers? If the teacher preparation that we currently have is not helping them get teachers that are aligned to what they're trying to do, we need to really think about how we prepare our teachers, and maybe we need to stand up new schools of education or new teacher preparation programs outside of schools of education to help them. We need to think about a lot of these new schools that are starting are having a mare of a time trying to find space to operate. We have a really kind of outmoded regulatory system that assumes if you're opening a quote-unquote school, it's 600 kids in 30 classrooms and whatever, and so that's how the fire rules and all that stuff works. A lot of these new innovative models are quite small. They might only have 20 or 30 kids in a room or two, and they are having to pay hundreds of thousands of dollars to get sprinkler systems. They're having to conduct monthly fire drills when really it's like just walk out that door over there. So we have to think of the regulatory model in which a lot of these schools work, and I think we need to help students. We need to solve transportation problems so they can find these schools and have access to them. We need to help give them information about what they're offering. So you're right. There's a whole new set of problems. Now, these are good problems to have because we've gotten over some of the big hurdles of giving kids more opportunities to the schools that they want to get into, but they are hurdles nonetheless.
Michael McShane is the Director of National Research at EdChoice. He's also the co-author of Getting Education Right, a conservative vision for improving early childhood, K-12, and college, that he co-authored with the American Enterprise Institute's Rick Hess. Michael McShane, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you. And he joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
This is Chicago's Morning Answer.
Your show keeps me alive during the week. There's nobody I'd rather listen to between 5 and 9 in the morning than you guys.
On AM 560, The Answer.
At AlmostFreeTeeth.com, they're dedicated to making smiles great again. If you have medical PPO insurance, find out how you could save 90% off on average to get a beautiful dental implant-supported smile. Check if you qualify right now at AlmostFreeTeeth.com.
Prescription products require completion of an online medication consultation with an independent healthcare provider through the LifeMD platform and are only available if prescribed. Subscription required. Individual results may vary. Additional restrictions apply at lifemd.com. Read all warnings before using GLP-1s. Side effects may include a risk of thyroid C-cell tumors. Do not use GLP-1s if you or your family have a history of thyroid cancer.
Should you pay thousands of dollars for Ozempic, Wegovy, Zepbound, or other GLP-1 medications? We don't think so. TryLifeMD.com specializes in helping get GLP-1 weight loss medications covered by insurance. We know how the system works, and we've helped thousands of people get covered. You pay your insurance every month, and you deserve to have these life-changing medications covered. And if you're on compounded GLP-1s now, TryLifeMD.com can help you find insurance coverage for FDA-approved medication to continue losing weight and to keep the weight off. Insurance companies may not want to help you get covered, but TryLifeMD.com does. Get your free insurance benefits check in minutes at TryLifeMD.com. That's TryLifeMD.com.
Jeff Tishlar, author of High Tech versus the Highest Tech, has shared his knowledge of the spectacular things that we see in nature as opposed to what man has created, and how this should inform one's faith. Jeff served on the mission field all over the world and has created this highly illustrated and concisely written technical book. The easy-to-read format is understood from the youngest reader to the most intelligent and mature readers. Google and Amazon book reviews include, "This is the best little book I have ever read. It is amazing how much information is in this book." And a beautifully written and illustrated book. The author has a gift for describing complicated technical details in a very understandable style. This book is available now in paperback on Amazon. Search High Tech versus the Highest Tech by Jeff Tishlar. 100% of proceeds go to missions. That's High Tech vs. the Highest Tech by Jeff Tishlar.
You never want to miss one of life's most important moments. A graduation, a birthday, a first communion, a wedding. When these moments happen, you want to make sure to capture them so that you and your loved ones can remember them for years to come. For over 30 years, families have relied on Tom Kaloran Photography to capture important life moments. This locally owned family business can provide the solutions you need for your important event photography, from weddings and birthdays to class reunions and golf outings. No matter the size or scope, Tom Kaloran Photography will make sure you have lasting memories to share for years to come. Tom Kaloran Photography is also the official photographer for AM 560 The Answer. To learn more and to see their portfolio, just visit KaloranPhotography.com. That's KILLORAN Photography.com. Or call them at 708-361-0025. Tom Kaloran Photography, capturing important life moments for over 30 years.
Honey, we're not moving, but we gotta do something about this kitchen.
Funny you mention it. I just stopped by Forever Remodeling's new showroom in Niles. I saw over a dozen kitchen and bathroom layouts they designed. They even offered to stop by the house and give us a free in-home design consultation.
What'd you tell them?
That we're free today?
Visit foreverremodeling.com today. That's the number 4, everremodeling.com. Forever Remodeling, stress-free and high-quality remodeling.
AM 560, The Answer.
All right, coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Surprise, surprise. The defund Doge protesters outside Tesla dealerships are AstroTurf 707.
But now into the newsroom we go. Here is the one and only Mike Scott.
Chicago aldermen reject a fur ban. A man is found dead inside a Northwest Side storage facility. WIND Chicago News Time, 7 o'clock.
A meeting of the U.S. and key allies. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News. Starting today, north of the border.
War is on everyone's mind as top diplomats from the world's richest democracies gather in Quebec. There are the potential trade wars following President Donald Trump's tariffs on steel and aluminum, not to mention retaliatory measures put in place by Canada and the EU. But the very real war in Ukraine could also reveal divisions among allies. Most are publicly supportive of the Trump administration's efforts to end the fighting.
That's Fox's Jonathan Savage. Now, President Trump has warned again of possible U.S. sanctions on Russia if it does not agree to a ceasefire offer Ukraine supports. A short time ago, a senior Russian official said that U.S. proposed ceasefire would help Ukraine's military. As Russian soldiers retake control today of more areas in the Kursk region that Ukraine captured in a counter-invasion last summer. NATO's leader, Mark Rutte, will go to the White House for talks today on the war, the day after President Trump said this ahead of a potential government shutdown.
It would be great if the Democrats would do what's right for our country for a change, because they really are there. They've lost their way.
As the Senate's Democratic leader, Chuck Schumer, says ahead of a funding deadline tomorrow night.
Funding the government should be a bipartisan effort. But Republicans chose a partisan path, drafting their continuing resolution without any input.
So Schumer says Democrats will not support that bill, but the GOP can't pass it without some Democrat votes. Here's something else the left doesn't like.
The death of the Green New scam is upon us.
EPA Administrator Lee Zeldin tells Fox they're rolling back environmental regulations from the Biden era aimed at fighting climate change.
It's the most significant, biggest deregulatory action in the history of the country. Trillions of dollars.
Zeldin says they'll undo rules on things like coal-fired plants and unwind standards on vehicle emissions that were aimed at getting us to switch from gas to electric cars. America's listening to Fox News. .34 degrees at 7:02 on AM 560. The Answer. Good morning, everyone. I'm Mike Scott. A school board meeting was held in South suburban Manhattan last night. Parents were hoping to learn more about a teacher who was recently placed on leave. During that District 114 board meeting, several parents spoke out. The employee, who is a physical education teacher, was reportedly escorted out of the school last Wednesday. Chicago aldermen are rejecting the proposed ban on the sale of new fur products in the city.
We have a society where we've lost our sense of compassion and empathy for other living things.
The proposed ordinance by Ray Lopez would have banned the sale of products made with animal furs. It was voted down yesterday by the city council. Opponents of that measure believe it is too extreme.
It goes beyond just the sale of furs, but it prohibits the sale of Ugg boots. Gentlemen, every woman in your life has a pair of Ugg boots. I want you to know.
The ordinance failed on a 26-19 vote. Authorities are investigating after a man was found dead at a storage facility on Chicago's northwest side. Cook County Medical Examiner's Office says a 73-year-old man was found inside that facility in the 3400 block of North Kedzie. And Illinois lawmakers are considering a mileage tax on EV drivers to help maintain state infrastructure. The proposed legislation would create a pilot program to explore the viability of establishing a road usage charge. The proposal is designed to offset a decrease in motor fuel tax revenue and force electric vehicle owners to pay their fair share in the state. Oregon and Utah have implemented similar programs. Bulls go for their fourth win in a row when they host Brooklyn tonight. Blackhawks visiting San Jose. White Sox tied the Angels in spring training baseball 1-1. Scotty Scheffler defending yet another title when the Players' Championship tees off at TPC at Sawgrass. The news, a service of Woodland Windows and Doors in Roselle. Brighten your home and make the rooms in your house look better and bigger with larger windows or patio doors this spring. Visit woodlandwindows.com to book your consultation today. A check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
When you need to talk about what's happening today.
Hey, can I talk to you for a second?
There's one place you can come to. The Sean Thompson Show.
Do it! Do it, I dare you. Do it!
Get in the conversation.
Everybody talks about that show. Sounds great, doesn't he?
Weekdays starting at 4.
This is easy.
I like his honesty and his frankness. Every day I listen to him, I learn.
He says what's on his mind. He's real.
Best person out there to listen to. We're combating people who prefer the lie.
He's Sean Thompson, only on AM 560. The Answer.
Leica Microsystems Incorporated in Deerfield, Illinois, seeks a product performance manager, North America, to manage microscope products for life science research applications, including product training, sales, and support associates. Qualified candidates must have a master's or foreign degree equivalent in biology, bioimaging, or related field, and 3 years of experience. 35% domestic and international travel. May work from anywhere in the United States. Salary range is $114,700 to $200,800. Salary offered is $133,900 per year. Please send resumes to harman.brown@leica-microsystems.com. Again, Leica Microsystems Incorporated in Deerfield, Illinois, seeks a product performance manager, North America. May work from anywhere in the United States. Please send resumes to harman.brown@leica-microsystems.com.
When you hear the term living better, what do you think about? More money? A bigger house? Maybe a yacht? What about how you feel physically? How you wake up each day? How you sleep? What activities you can and cannot do? When you feel good, life is good. So if pain is affecting your life, see how Relief Factor can help. Relief Factor is a daily supplement that fights pain naturally. Developed by doctors, it doesn't just mask pain temporarily, it helps reduce or even eliminate pain. In fact, the longer you take it, the more effective it is. So give their 3-week quick start a try. It's only $19.95, less than $1 a day. And it just takes a phone call, 1-800-4-RELIEF. That's 1-800-4-RELIEF. Wherever you're hurting, in 3 weeks or even days, Relief Factor can give you a chance to rediscover the true meaning of living better again. Visit ReliefFactor.com or call 1-800-4-RELIEF. That's 1-800-4-RELIEF.
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm. If you own a timeshare, don't miss this public service announcement from Chuck McDowell, founder of Wesley Financial Group.
If you receive an unsolicited phone call or mail piece to discuss selling, renting, or especially canceling your timeshare, don't fall for it. If you really want out of your timeshare, hang the phone up immediately or throw that mail piece in the trash and contact your timeshare resort or Wesley Financial Group for assistance with your timeshare. As the only Inc. 500 timeshare cancellation company, our knowledge, experience, and results has made Wesley a trusted resource for over 40,000 families we've helped get out of their timeshare. Give us a call, and I'll send you our timeshare exit information kit free with the straight facts about your timeshare and all of your options for cancellation.
Call for your free info kit, 800-839-8484. 800-839-8484. 800-839-8484.
7:08. Let's get an update on the roads. We do that in the Team Hochberg Traffic Center. Loading up on the inbound Kennedy, now 45 O'Hare into the Burns Circle interchange. The Ike, due to a semi-truck fire, you've got 2 right lanes blocked inbound. In Elmhurst, between York Road and St. Charles, major delays there this morning. Outbound on the Ike, you're stop and go Independence to Des Plaines Avenue, and you hit the brakes again, Manheim out to St. Charles. You got a multi-vehicle accident on the exit ramp on the northbound off-ramp from I-55 to the northbound Veterans Memorial Toll Road this morning. Traffic is a service of almostfreeteeth.com. What if you could save an average of 90% for dental implants and get 100% of your smile back? Check if you qualify, almostfreeteeth.com. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next. Now your official Chicagoland weather forecast. Here's Steve Williams.
Sunshine, mild day. High today 60. Clear to partly cloudy tonight, low 50. Partly sunny, breezy, warmer. Severe thunderstorm by tomorrow night. High tomorrow 75. Variable cloudiness. A windy day on Saturday, the high 66. I'm Steve Williams on AM 560. The Answer.
34 right now. Next news 7:30. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560. The Answer.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios, this is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560. The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. Want to get to Doge and deregulation, but I have to comment on our friend Alderman Ray Lopez. You know, I like Ray.
Oh, he's been on the show several times. We text often.
I'm happy to hear that. But the ordinance he proposed to ban new fur sales.
I know.
What are you doing?
He's an animal lover. He doesn't have any kids. He has dogs. He helps out with, the Humane Society. He's an advocate for that.
I'm sorry. I'm an animal lover, too. What does that have to do with anything? You're not an animal lover if you don't support banning fur sales? Answer the question.
Of course, there's a lot of people that own fur pieces that are also own animals.
And and not all of them are pimps, right? I mean, I know the pimp lobby came out very strongly against this.
Yeah, right.
They like their mink coats, but
like the rapper who just got off the Spirit Airlines plane, yes,
and jewelry. But the but it's just silly. It's like one step above Joe Moore's, ordinance banning foie gras.
Oh, that's right. I remember foie gras.
I mean, come on. First of all, foie gras is delicious. Secondly, just stop. If I know the intractable problems in Chicago are less attractive because you can't just pass an ordinance or engage in activity, just sort of general activity other than speechifying and address them in any material way. But it doesn't excuse these frivolities.
Well,
it's silliness. It's redesigning the state flag. You know what you could do? You could draw attention. You can use your perch, like Roy Lopez has, to draw attention to positive things that are happening on the intractable issues, on the big stuff, and try and generate more attention to models that could be replicated and scaled. Because while Ray Lopez is wanting to ban Ugg boots, the sale of Ugg boots, as one other alderhuman said, Corey Brooks posted this. This is what transformation feels like. Thanks to Project Hood, lives are being saved. He's talking about his neighborhood, Woodlawn. January 1 through March 9, 75% drop in homicides, 75% drop in robbery victimizations, 44% drop in violent crime, writing that when you invest in people, everything changes in terms of his Project Hood.
Right, those are just numbers for Woodlawn, not the city of Chicago.
Correct. And so, but the point is then, if there's something Corey Brooks is doing that's working, maybe some alderhumans from around the city want to take judicial notice of that, and let's start talking about how we can take best practices and apply them elsewhere, rather than going off on these silly gambits to make sentimental appeals to narrow groups of voters.
Thank God. I mean, it went down 19 to 26, but local fur owners, they came out in force, and the Black Caucus, they were against it. And let's just give a right to choose. If I don't want to wear fur, fine. That's my business. It doesn't have to be, an ordinance passed banning fur in Chicago.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. This is all
right.
So patently obvious. So just, stop doing that. You embarrass yourself as an otherwise serious person on the big things that matter when you expend political capital to do silly virtue signaling things. So don't be silly. These are not the times for silly people. We don't have those luxuries.
The text message, Dan and Amy, Ray Lopez wanted to close down viable businesses, the furriers. I think we should keep as many businesses as we can open in Chicago.
Yeah, especially businesses that aren't dope peddlers, prostitution rings, currency exchanges, packaged liquor stores. You talk about real economic development and wealth creation, particularly in neighborhoods that are otherwise blighted. And this is, and by the way, Ray Lopez represents some of those neighborhoods. Mm-hmm. And this is what we're talking about, furriers? Come on. Honestly. Okay. Let's turn our attention to what's happening. Well, speaking of frivolities, what's happening at the federal level. There has been some joining of the battle. This is what I've talked about before, the nice cultural shift that's happening. And now you're seeing cabinet secretaries across the board wanting to have their moment in the sun, talking about what they're doing in the direction, essentially, of DOGE, of stopping reckless, silly, indefensible spending. Brooke Rollins is the Secretary of Agriculture. We haven't heard from her. Now we have.
Hi, everyone. This is Brooke Rollins coming to you from the United States Department of Agriculture here in Washington, D.C. for your DOGE update. Until today, USDA was funding a $397,000 grant in the San Francisco Bay Area to educate queer, trans, and BIPOC urban farmers and consumers about food justice and values-aligned markets. By stopping this wasteful spending here at USDA, we are ending identity politics and we are refocusing our agency on its core mission of supporting American farming, ranching, and forestry. Stay tuned for more updates coming soon.
Molly Goller had a response.
Black and indigenous, people of color.
Farmers.
Black and indigenous.
Farmers.
People of color.
Farmers.
Lesbian, gay, bi,
Farmers.
transgender, and queer.
Farmers.
Lesbian, gay, bi, transgender, and queer. Asian American Pacific Islander. Asian
Farmers.
American Pacific Islander. Latino, Hispanic.
It's too high for me in the morning.
Creole. Latino, Hispanic, Romani, and Creole. We all have a place in this world.
One more time.
We all have a place in this world.
No question, we're just not going to give you USDA funding for navel gazing studies. USDA also clawing back $600,000 to study menstrual cycles in transgender men and non-binary persons. Not much to study.
What? I was just going to say, what are they studying exactly?
Gave Black College
cycles?
Gave Black College $600,000 to study menstrual cycles in transgender men. That's women. I think we have a pretty good handle on menstrual cycles in women and non-binary persons.
Once a month. Okay, that's great. I'll take your $600,000 for that.
Southern University A&M College in Baton Rouge was the recipient. Scheduled to flow. The money is scheduled to flow through the spring of 2027.
Flow? Did you say flow?
Pun intended. So anyway, Brooke Rollins is on the job. And Lee Zeldin continues to impress, but perhaps been the most aggressive cabinet secretary. He writes in the Wall Street Journal, Mike Scott mentioned it too in his news at the top of the hour. Writes in the Wall Street Journal, yesterday was the most consequential day of deregulation in American history. Sort of underreported, if that's even close to accurate. But there is a lot of truth to what he's saying. Announced the EPA will take 31 actions to advance Trump's day one executive orders and power the great American comeback. By overhauling massive rules on the endangerment finding. This is a finding by the Supreme Court back in 2007 that greenhouse gases were pollutants and thus subject to regulation. By overhauling massive rules on the endangerment finding, that is really big, actually. It's maybe below the fold, but it's big. The social cost of carbon and similar issues, we are driving a dagger through the hearts of climate change, religion, and ushering in America's golden age. These actions will roll back trillions of dollars in regulatory costs and hidden taxes. As a result, the cost of living for American families will decrease, and essentials such as buying a car, heating your home, and operating a business will become more affordable. Our actions will also reignite American manufacturing, spreading economic benefits to communities. Deregulation, reducing the cost of inputs, both for the family as well as for the business in terms of energy costs, for example. This is big stuff that he's doing over at EPA. And those protesting what Lee Zeldin and the Doge boys are doing, with Musk, of course, being the boogeyman that they're centered on. Well, we find out that, there's supposed to be so much controversy around USAID or layoffs at the DOE or deregulation at EPA, but it's all AstroTurf. It's all bought and paid for. The new Marxist Party trying to whip up hysteria where it isn't, having to present the picture of unrest where there really isn't any that is organic. Here's a protester with a defund Doge sign standing outside a Tesla dealership, admitting this.
Yeah, I get paid to be out here. You get paid to be out here? Yeah. Amazing. So some pack. You really are getting paid for this? Yeah. Absolutely. Oh, definitely. 100% I'm getting paid for this.
Yeah, I mean, it's not surprising, but it's always good to confirm what you suspect to be true. And so the talking heads on CNBC and MSNBC, I mean, be stout of heart. These people are not winning the day on these issues. And when it gets beyond sort of the framework and the explanation of what's happening to the actual positive impacts of what, for example, Lee Zeldin outlines in the Journal, then the ground on which they're standing will erode even more quickly. For example, I'll give you an example of what I'm talking about. They're just terrible at this too. This goof. I was unaware of him until he popped up on CNBC, but Matt Meyer is some leftist crank who is the governor of the big guy's home state. And he was pressed by Aaron Sorkin on Aaron Ross Sorkin on CNBC about a message he has for Elon Musk, who pulled out of Delaware.
If Elon's watching right now, what would you tell him?
Elon who?
Musk.
Isn't he Elon Musk?
Yeah.
Please stop cutting our federal government with a chainsaw. Please preserve Medicaid.
He meant about the shares. He's not coming back to Delaware with that message.
Shares, yeah. Elon, yeah, he's running his company. I don't know. Right. I don't have much to say to him on it.
Well said. Very impressive.
He's the governor of Delaware?
Yeah.
Whew.
It's a low bar.
Yeah. Trump was sticking up for, Elon, because he knows what's going on.
I think he's been treated very unfairly by a very small group of people. And I just want people to know that you can't be penalized for being a patriot.
Yep.
And he's a great patriot. In the time I've known him, he has never asked me for a favor. He didn't ask me for this. I said, Elon, I don't like what's happening to you. This man is a great patriot, and you should cherish him. You should cherish him. I have a little statement. We have to take care of our high IQ people because we don't have too many of them.
Yeah, well,
we have to
dwindling
take care
by
of you
the day.
Too, Dan Proft, we have to take care of you. You're a very high IQ person as well.
Yeah, exactly. I would like some favors from Elon Musk. Also this, too. I mean, this is, again, the quality of what you're getting from the left these days as they're still groping in the dark, trying to figure out how to deal with this full court press that the Trump administration is putting on the regulatory state and the associated spend. This Dem flack. By the way, I love these cable news channels across the board, including Fox. Any Dem flack or Republican flack, they're strategists. They go out there.
Analysts or strategists, yes.
99% of them just go on to recite a talking point. I mean, they are, literally talking heads, literally just, blathering political cant. But this one was great because here's the other thing they can't stop doing, no matter how much it boomerangs on them. Insulting not just Trump, but Trump supporters. Julie Roginski on Trump with Musk the other day and the Teslas and the whole deal. Take a listen.
Yeah, Julie, what's your reaction to this Tesla stunt? Is it ironic that the president is now touting electric vehicles?
I mean, first of all, it's not legal. Let's start with that. Second, you can't do this on the property of the White House. It's federal property. Second, really, the president is basically a car salesman now. It's just astounding with everything that's going on. Literally, with everything that's going on in the world, he's taking time out of his day to array 4 or 5 Teslas on the White House lawn and basically act like a showroom salesman. By the way, I don't know who he thinks is buying Teslas, but I can guarantee you that they're out of reach, many of them, for the average Trump voter. So I'm not sure who in the MAGA universe he's urging to buy Teslas, because Teslas consistently, in previous iterations, were bought by wealthier, more environmentally conscious people.
Wow. So she's saying Trump supporters are poor.
Can't vote. Yeah, well, of course, because they're all slack-jawed yokels who live in Appalachia and eat dirt. This is the caricature. This has been the caricature for a decade. By the way, Julie, just to work your own logic there, the logic, and she's just repeating a criticism you've heard.
Yeah.
If Teslas were bought by the upwardly mobile, enlightened leftist set, then Elon Musk is hurting himself. He's not leveraging his relationship or donor status to Trump to benefit himself personally then, right? If he's losing business, then what he's doing is at his expense, just like I think it's pretty clear. Pretty clear. Trump has suffered for what he chose to do over the last decade, which is run for president 3 times. That hasn't been so that he could build, Trump International in Moscow and all these other baseless accusations that were made that this is self-dealing and this is all about promoting his real estate empire and getting sweetheart deals and all of this. Well, it's actually quite the opposite. Both Musk and Trump are acting adverse to their personal economic interests in service of the country's economic and security interests. Isn't that right, Julie? Dan and Amy, Chicago's Morning Answer.
Before you see it on TV, share it on Facebook, or read about it in the paper. Hear it here first. This is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
If you have unfiled taxes or are in debt to the IRS, this is important news. Did you know the IRS has programs specifically designed to help people struggling with tax debt? Powerful tax assistance programs that can save you thousands if you qualify. No one knows these programs better than the experts at Optima Tax Relief, America's most trusted tax resolution firm, A-rated by the Better Business Bureau. Their award-winning team of tax attorneys and licensed professionals have resolved over $1 billion of tax debt for their clients. One call to Optima can start the process, helping to end your worries about wage garnishment, asset seizure, and other IRS actions. Make sure you're getting the best options to solve your tax problems. Call the experts at Optima today for a free confidential consultation.
Call 800-965-1433. 800-965-1433. 800-965-1433.
Optima Tax Relief.
Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
MyPillow is excited to announce that they're having the first ever mega sale on overstock clearance and brand new products. For example, save over 50% on this season's flannel sheets. Queen size only $59.98. Kings only $69.98. They sell out fast every year, so order now. Save 30% on their brand new My Crosses. They're designed in the likeness of the one Mike has worn every day for 20 years. They come in men's and women's, and they're made right here in the USA. Get the 2025 6-piece My Towel sets for only $29.98. The initial quantities are extremely low, so get them now before they go. And the best-selling standard MyPillow, just $14.98. To take advantage of the first ever mega sale, go to MyPillow.com or call 800-489-0201. That's 800-489-0201 and use promo code LIBERTY. But wait, remember that $75 free shipping rule? Well, that ship has sailed because right now every order ships absolutely free. MyPillow.com, promo code LIBERTY.
Why do so many companies count on Riverdale Plating and Heat Treating? Consistent high level of quality, an ISO certified and A2LA accredited heat treating, electroplating, fastener sorting, and packaging job shop. Riverdale Plating and Heat Treating meets and exceeds client specifications. Whether a high volume or a small production run, their processes ensure a job well done. Celebrating their 15th anniversary this year, they specialize in metal fasteners and stampings for automotive and other industries. And with a newly expanded sorting department, there are many sorting and packaging options to meet your needs. Riverdale Plating and Heat Treating serves customers in Illinois, Indiana, Michigan, Ohio, Wisconsin, and Tennessee, with easy access to all forms of transportation from an automated facility in Riverdale, Illinois, just 15 minutes southwest of Chicago. Want consistent quality? Call Riverdale Plating and Heat Treating, 708-849-2050, or visit riverdalePHT.com.
Signature Bank is Chicago's fastest growing independently owned business bank. It's a bank where relationships still matter. I'm Dan Proft, and I know this because Signature Bank is my business bank.
Hi, I'm Tony Dreyfus, founder and president of Metropolis Coffee Company and a proud new customer of Signature Bank. We're a 19-year-old specialty coffee roaster located in the heart of Chicago. Some of your favorite restaurants and cafes serve our coffee. As a small business manufacturer, we understand the importance of working with the right bank, and that's why we made the move to Signature Bank. We were tired of the impersonal service that our large bank had provided. A friend referred us to Signature Bank, and their team was on site to understand our operations firsthand. They provided us the working capital to continue our successful business operations and to fuel our ambitions for innovation and growth. We now have the flexibility to grow at our own pace. That personal touch, you can't find that at a large bank, but we found it at Signature, and we can't thank them enough.
Signature Bank helps local businesses succeed. Let Signature Bank turn your business vision into reality. Visit signaturebank.bank. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
AM 560, The Answer.
All right, coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Well, the poor market news over the last week tempered a bit yesterday by good news on inflation, including the much-discussed egg prices falling. We'll start there with Steve Moore, 737.
Finally, but now let's head into that newsroom. Here's Mike Scott.
7:32 on AM 560, The Answer. The head of NATO in Washington this morning, meeting with President Trump. NATO Secretary General Mark Rutte is scheduled to visit the White House. Secretary of State Marco Rubio walking into unusually unfriendly territory this week when he meets his counterparts from the G7 in Canada. Federal judge ruling that pro-Palestinian, pro-Hamas Columbia University activist Mahmoud Khalil will remain jailed in Louisiana following a deportation hearing in New York.
We and he fully intend to vindicate not just his First Amendment rights, but those of all Americans, frankly, and all lawful permanent residents and anybody who wants to speak out.
Other news we're following this morning, Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer says Democrats have the needed votes to block a Republican spending bill. It comes as Friday's deadline to avoid a government shutdown looms. The number of measles cases is still on the rise after an outbreak in West Texas. Health officials now confirm 258. An investigation continues after a man was shot outside of O'Hare in Terminal 2 where a fight broke out early yesterday. A person has been brought in for questioning by detectives. Attorneys for Richard Allen are officially appealing his double murder conviction in Indiana. Allen was found guilty of killing Abby Williams and Libby German in Delphi in 2017. He was sentenced to 130 years in prison. Kenosha police found the body in Lake Michigan and identified it as 18-year-old Kayla Sobchik. Sobchik was last seen back on December 17, and her family reported her missing on December 23rd. Her death, along with how she ended up in Lake Michigan, remains under investigation. And Illinois taxpayers are covering tax breaks for computing companies as Governor J.B. Pritzker talks quantum computing and incentives at South by Southwest in Austin, Texas. Pritzker saying Illinois spends taxpayer funds on quantum computing to try and gain more federal dollars.
We're actually making the commitment. We have the institutions that are appropriate to carry that research forward. And so we're a good bet because we're a long-term investor.
The state has provided hundreds of millions of taxpayer dollars in incentives to multi-billion-dollar computing firms like IBM and Quantum. Chicago sports. Bulls go for their fourth win in a row when they host the Nets at the UC tonight. Blackhawks aim to avoid a third straight loss when they visit San Jose this evening. Sharks, by the way, the only NHL team with fewer points than the Blackhawks. Notre Dame exits the ACC basketball tournament with a loss to North Carolina. Northwestern moves on in the Big Ten with a win over Minnesota. They take on Wisconsin this afternoon. Fighting Illini begin their Big Ten tournament run tonight with a game against Iowa. White Sox, Southsiders tie the Angels in spring ball 1-1. The news service of Quick Delivery Service. Visit quickdelivery.com when you need same-day delivery of your routes. Ground delivery when you need it from safe, licensed professionals. Go to quickdelivery.com now to schedule your delivery. A check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Larry Elder explains the real problem.
It's not about the deficit. The deficit is just the gap between how much money the government takes in and how much it spends. You can close that by simply raising taxes. The real issue is the size, scope, and intrusiveness of government. And I've said this before, can't do this now politically or even morally. But at some point, Social Security, Medicare, and Medicaid have to be addressed.
The Larry Elder Show. Weeknights at 8, right before Sean Hannity at 10 on AM 560. The Answer.
During tax season, your personal info travels to a lot of places you can't control.
between payroll, your home office, your tax preparer, and the IRS. If your W-2 gets exposed, that's just the ticket for identity thieves. That's why LifeLock monitors hundreds of millions of data points every second. If your identity's stolen, they'll fix it guaranteed or your money back. Don't let identity thieves take you for a ride. Save up to 40% your first year with promo code CLAY. Visit lifelock.com. Terms apply.
Millions of Americans take medicine like Ozempic and Zepbound. Many of them are overpaying by thousands of dollars a year. These GLP-1 medications for diabetes, weight loss, and more may not always be covered by your insurance, but GoodRx can help. GoodRx helps you save every month on prescriptions at over 70,000 pharmacies nationwide. Best of all, it's free to use. Check GoodRx to save on GLP-1s. Just go to GoodRx.com/GLP. That's GoodRx.com/GLP. GoodRx is not insurance, but can be used instead of insurance, including Medicare and other federal and state-funded programs.
I should have done it sooner. Hi, Amy Jacobson here, and that's what a number of people say to me when they come up and talk to me about QC Kinetics. Why did I wait so long? So let me ask you a question to see if whether or not you're a good candidate for QC Kinetics. Do you have trouble sleeping, walking, day-to-day movement? Do you want to avoid surgery and all the pain, the long recovery, and the uncertainty that comes with it? Do you miss doing things like golfing, jogging, playing pickleball? Well, if you answered yes to any of these questions, I bet you're a great candidate. So please don't wait. Contact our good friends at QC Kinetics right now and ask for your free consultation. Learn how the latest advances in regenerative medicine can help you and give you lasting pain relief with no drugs, no surgery, no downtime. Saturday appointments available. Call 312-809-5955. That's 312-809-5955. Again, 312-809-5955.
I saw a T-shirt recently, and it said, "Too much of anything is bad unless we're talking about bacon." Now, we can debate all day long about the points of bacon. However, portion control is a good thing. That can also be said about your retirement accounts. Too much risk, when you could be burdened down by a down market. Too conservative, and maybe you can't take that Alaskan cruise you've been saving for. Tom Fortuna and the people of Alpha Wealth Group understand portion control. He can balance a retirement plan with levels of protection and risk designed specifically to your needs. And if you don't want risk at all, he can do that as well. Just simply call for a free discovery meeting. You can call him today at 630-864-6711. That's 630-864-6711. You may not find that right balance between a pound of bacon and a pound of kale, but you can find the balance between worrying about your retirement and enjoying your retirement. Find out for yourself by giving Tom Fortino a call at 630-864-6711 or online at alphawealthgroup.com.
Think O'Reilly Auto Parts for all your car care needs. Get the parts and service you need fast from the professional parts people at O'Reilly Auto Parts.
7:39, Team Hochberg Traffic Center time. Inbound Kennedy, 1 hour, O'Hare into the Burn Circle interchange. The Eisenhower right now, a lot of that due to an earlier semi-truck fire inbound in Elmhurst between York and St. Charles. You've got a 90-minute commute from 390 into the old post office. Dan Ryan, 30 minutes, 95th into the Circle. DuSable Lakeshore Drive jamming up northbound between Foster and Hollywood. Reagan I-88 accident right shoulder in Kane County. It's inbound right after Farnsworth. 2 vehicles are involved. Your stop and go back to Route 31. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next. AM 560 Weather Center forecast. Sunny and mild, high near 60. Partly cloudy and mild, low 50 overnight. Breezy, warmer, and severe thunderstorms as we head into the evening tomorrow. We'll top out earlier in the day at 75. It's 35 right now. Your next news update at 8. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560 The Answer.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios. If you're looking for the latest news, insight into what it means, and the sharpest opinion, there's only one station in Chicago where you can turn, and it's this one. We're AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. Well, Trump's tariffs have roiled markets, but we got some good news yesterday. And that is that inflation in February ran cooler than expected. And the bellwether product that the D.C. press corps is suddenly so obsessed about eggs. We saw price decrease in eggs as well. So happy days are nearing again with prices falling and inflation cooling. That's the good news. The bad news is people have to avert their eyes to look at what's happened to their 401ks over the last couple of weeks. But again, the Scott Bessent, Donald Trump discussion about an adjustment period. We're getting off the dope, the phony sugar high of government cotton candy, and that's one piece of it. And then the other piece is this trade situation, which maybe progress will be made today when Howard Lutnick meets with Ontario Premier Doug Ford to see if the temperature can be reduced on the relationship and the rhetorical back and forth between the Canadians and the Trump administration. For more on all this, Stephen Moore joins us, economist, author of The Trump Economic Miracle and the Plan to Unleash Prosperity Again, co-authored with Art Laffer. Steve, thanks for joining us.
Yeah, good morning, guys. I've been kind of dreading this conversation, Dan, but go ahead.
You got your inflation number, so that's something to cheerlead.
Mm-hmm.
And
well, I think everybody listening to the show has lost a lot of money in the last 2 weeks, unless you shorted the market. So it's been a brutal period, no question about it. I'm not the biggest fan of tariffs, as you guys know. And, there's certainly short-term pain, as Trump said. Trump's line is this is short-term pain for long-term gain. He may well be right. But, boy, I mean, the people have lost a lot of money. The business manufacturers and so on are kind of freaked out right now. There's a lot of uncertainty, and markets hate uncertainty. So I'd like to see this resolved as quickly as possible. I do think, by the way, that it will get resolved. I can't tell you if it's going to be tomorrow or next week or next month or 3 months from now. But when it gets resolved, the market will bounce back. So, you might look at this. What's the old saying? Buy low, and stocks are low right now. So, but the tariffs are taxes. It's that simple, Dan. Tariffs are taxes.
Well, Canada imposed a $31 billion tariff on water heaters, computers. They're also slapping American bourbon and Harley-Davidson with 50% tariffs. Yeah. And then the EU implemented a $28 billion tariff on beef, poultry, and eggs. And here's, just listen to what Trump said yesterday about the European tariffs.
So whatever they charge us, we're charging them. If they charge us 25 or 20% or 10% or 2% or 200%, then that's what we're charging them. There's nothing more fair than that.
Yeah, it's not a $28 billion, $26 billion tariff. It's tariffs on $26 and $28 billion worth of goods, which you have to look at in the context of a $20 trillion economy. So, I mean, there's a little bit of overwrought hysteria too, as someone who also is not a huge fan of tariffs, certainly not to the extent that President Trump is. But I think there's a little bit of fever going around on the Wall Street too, because they're so used to this dope that they've been on.
Well, those statistics, Amy, that you just mentioned, those should cause Americans' eyes to open. I mean, the truth is that the United States has the lowest tariffs in the world. There might be a few countries that have lower than we do, but certainly we're way below the tariffs that Europe charges on us. It's also true that we're way below where China is. We're below where Canada is. I mean, we're supposed to have a free trade deal with Canada, and yet they're charging over 100% on our dairy products and agriculture. So, look, Trump is basically telling these countries, we're going to charge what you charge, so you better bring your tariffs down because, this is causing problems for the United States, but you want to throw China and Canada into a depression, you deny them access to America's market. So he's flexing our economic muscle, and in the end of the day, he will win. He's going to win. Canada and China and the Europeans will have to stand down. And may I simply say, I'm so sick of these sanctimonious Europeans saying, oh, my gosh, Trump's causing us trade war. Well, wait a minute. Their tariffs are 3 times higher than ours. And they're saying we're causing a trade war. I know if you had Donald Trump on the on your show right now, because I've heard him talk about this in the Oval Office many times, that they started the trade war. We didn't. No, I'm not defending the tariffs. I'm saying there is at the end of the day a light at the tunnel, and these countries are going to have to lower their tariffs. It's that simple.
Well,
and if that happens, we will have freer and fairer trade.
Well, it isn't fair. We pay 2.5% tariffs on cars coming from Europe, but they charge us 10%.
That's right. How's that fair? That's not a level playing field. Now, I understand. Here's the thing.
It's looking at it all wrong, but go ahead.
I know you. So, Dan, you and I love Milton Friedman. He was the greatest economist of the last 100 years. And I know if Milton Friedman were alive right now and he were on this show, he'd say, look, just because these Europeans are shooting themselves in the foot doesn't mean we should shoot ourselves in the foot, right, with tariffs. Because tariffs hurt both countries. And and I used to be a kind of unilateral free trader, and we have benefited from the fact that we are the freest trade country in the world. How do you think we got rich? But on the other hand, is it really fair? I mean, is it fair that these countries abuse us with their tariffs and that we don't strike back? And that's kind of where we are. Reciprocity is what Trump wants. He wants a level playing field, Dan. Are you against that?
I get it, and there's a fundamental philosophical difference that's not going to be bridged, and I'm fine. I'm fine with being on board, and let's see if this approach gets to lowering of trade barriers across the board. And so let's talk about that a little bit, because that's, if you want to be pragmatic, well, then let's talk about being pragmatic. And if the end here is to reduce trade barriers, well, then let's talk about how we get from where we are to there. And so the question is, what is the approach going to be? Obviously, you have Lutnick getting involved. He's meeting with Doug Ford today. Yeah. Scott Bessent, Peter Navarro, the trade rep. These guys. So are they going to be talking to the EU? There's all sorts of leverage that we have that's economic and national security related. I mean, why don't we dispatch these people to bring these Western European countries to the table and say, look, this is where it's going to go. Otherwise, we're going to have problems economically and militarily across the board. So let's start working this out.
I think that's exactly what's going to happen. I think you're going to start to see that immediately. It's a bit of a game of chicken right now.
Yeah,
it's like two cars that are speeding towards each other, and drag cars, and which one's going to turn away first? And that's a dangerous game that's being played. But I feel very confident in telling your listeners that Trump will prevail, that these countries will stand down, they will renegotiate some of their high tariffs. But it's a brutal process. Now, Dan and Amy, one of the tariffs that I don't like, that I'm really opposed to, is the steel and aluminum tariffs, because those are not going to save jobs, Dan. And we learned this from his first term. So what happened was, when we put a steel and aluminum tariffs on, I think they were 25%. What happened was we did save some steel and aluminum producing jobs in the United States, in places like Pennsylvania and Ohio, et cetera. But you know what happened to manufacturing jobs?
Yeah.
They went down. They went down. We lost about 4 times more. We saved about 2,500 steel jobs, and we lost about 10,000 jobs in the auto industry, in construction, and so on. And you know why? Because the steel was more expensive. So it's not. I don't like the protectionist tariffs. I don't think they work.
Yeah, I mean, not to mention, all the trade-related jobs at big multinational corporations and stuff, too. I mean, this, look, nobody is more efficient and, frankly, just than the free exchange of goods and services between consenting adults. And so, whether Trump is the guy turning the wheels and pulling the levers or it's somebody else, it's sort of the same hubris. But this is where we're at. I get it. I'm along for the ride. I'm just saying, so we better start wheeling and dealing, because I know we're not going to get to, a Milton Friedman paradise of no trade barriers. So let's start with the horse trading to get core industries and core sectors properly calibrate as best they can in the interest of the American producer as well as consumer. That needs to start post haste, because that's ultimately what it's going to be.
Yeah.
It's going to be horse trading.
Yeah. Well, first of all, you're exactly right. Now, these countries are going to have to come to us. We're not going to go to them. So the ball is in their court now. And I do believe, by the way, that Canada and the Europeans are making a huge mistake in retaliating, because that is not a game that they can win. They can't win that game because the tit for tat hurts them more than it does us. It causes them more pain. Now, look at what's happening. By the way, if you want to see what a master negotiator Trump can be, it looks like we're going to have a peace agreement sometime in the next few weeks in Ukraine. And
well, let's hope.
That is Trump. That's Trump. He told us he could get this done in a few months, and I think he will. So the reason I bring that up is Trump is a very good negotiator. He's the best negotiator I've ever seen in my whole life. You got to read the book, The Art of the Deal, and I think at the end of the day, he's going to get a deal with the Canadians, with the Mexicans, with the Europeans, and with China. But boy, this is exerting a lot of pain. I mean, I lost a lot of money in the last couple of weeks, Dan. Yeah, you're buying dinner the next time we get together.
Fair enough. The CR and the budget, and and Tom Massey being the holdout here, and your view on that, and essentially the Massey argument, which is, look, if the argument is we have to continue Biden-era level spending because we don't have 60 Republican senators now, well, we're not going to have 60 Republican senators in 6 months, so what then? He wants a more aggressive DOGE adjacent CR and obviously ultimately budget. Who's right there? Is it Speaker Johnson and the White House, or is it Tom Massey? The Howard Rourke of the caucus.
Now is a terrible time to have a shutdown of the government, so we got to get this budget through. Incidentally, one of the really cool things about this budget that hasn't gotten a lot of attention, because you mentioned DOGE, is that this budget, in the budget, it says that the president has the authority to spend less money than is appropriated, which is huge. I mean, that means that Trump can go in and just tell, the Department of Agriculture or the Department of Interior, hey, you're going to spend, instead of $100 million on this program, you're going to only spend $80 million on this program. So it does kind of include the opportunity to put the DOGE savings right in the budget. Now, the Democrats are howling about that. I don't know if they're going to allow that to happen, but this would be huge. Any CEO, Amy, any CEO of a company, if let's say you appropriate $10 million for a project, and then your project manager say, it's only cost us $8 million to do this. You wouldn't spend the whole $10 million, right? But that's what happens in the federal government. You have to spend every penny of it. So I think I would pass this bill, get it done. We need to get past the shutdown of the government. And by the way, Dan, I found out a brilliant way how I'm going to become a millionaire. You want to know what that is?
You get $1 million like Steve Martin recommended. Yeah.
That's right. No, I'm going to become an NGO.
Yeah, right.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, I'm going to become an NGO and get all this money.
Yeah, particularly if you engage in things like the study of the menstrual cycles of trans men. Yeah, that's very lucrative.
Exactly. It's worth $600K, Stephen Moore. Yeah.
This is quite a traumatic period we're in right now in Washington. But my bet, folks, is that Trump will prevail, because he always does. And I think in the end of the day, look at these stocks. There are a lot of cheap stocks out there, folks. I'm not saying we've hit bottom. We may have more to go. But I think 6 months from now, 9 months from now, a year from now, stocks are going to be worth a lot more than they are today. That's my bet.
Okay, Stephen Moore, so we have to be patient. Thank you.
Stephen Moore, economist, author of The Trump Economic Miracle and the Plan to Unleash Prosperity Again. Steve, thanks as always.
Okay, guys. Have a great weekend. Take care.
Thanks, you too. And he joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
Connect with Dan and Amy on the AM 560 The Answer mobile app. Just text the word app to 64636 to download the app today.
Hi, I'm Ken Mariotti, owner of Woodland Windows and Doors, a third-generation family-owned business since 1969. We know you're bombarded by choices when shopping for new windows or doors, so we're inviting you to experience the Woodland difference. For decades, we have been transforming living spaces with Marvin Windows, a fifth-generation family business. Marvin replacement windows have been known to increase the warmth of your cold rooms by 10 degrees. Think about that, 10 degrees warmer. When you welcome Woodland into your home, you will get a product expert to transform your living spaces full-time, dedicated professional installers that you can trust in your home, along with the best products like Marvin. These are the reasons we're proud of our 5-star reviews and family legacy. No gimmicks, no pressure, and upfront pricing are why Woodland Windows and Doors is your trusted window and door expert in Chicagoland. Visit woodlandwindows.com to book your free in-home expert consultation. That's woodlandwindows.com, or stop by our showroom at the corner of Lake and Geary in Roselle.
All right. Listeners are always asking me about QC Kinetics. Really stop me at the gym and say, hey, does this work? And I've been to their office. They have several of them in the Chicagoland area. And I've spoken with customers who swear by it, and their only regret is that they wish they did it sooner. So here's the deal. If you have chronic pain in your knees, back, or hips, or elbow, shoulder, due to an injury or due to arthritis, and you don't want to have surgery, and you're sick of being on pain pills or getting cortisone shots, try QC Kinetics. Go to one of their offices. It's a free consultation. They'll walk you through the process. They'll explain regenerative medicine and what it can do, how your own body has properties to heal itself. Here's a number to call. And they have Saturday appointments available. Don't wait. Don't regret not doing this sooner. The number to call is 312-809-5955. That's 312-809-5955. Again, 312-809-5955.
Around here, sunrise only means one thing. It's time to get to work. Whether you're hauling, herding, baling, or raking, Kubota tractors and hay tools are built to make hay any day, including while the sun shines. Learn more about how Kubota is built to get the job done right at KubotaUSA.com. Go to KubotaUSA.com/disclaimers for full disclaimers.
Whew, that shot was money, Lisa. Hey, speaking of, did you ever figure out what to do with your parents' old coin collection?
Not yet. I need a reputable dealer to appraise them. I have no clue what they're worth.
I just finished working on my dad's estate collections. I took it all to Fox Valley Coins. Their customer service was the best. Plus, they're super honest and reputable, but most importantly, experienced. They'll give you the best prices.
Really? They handle estate collections?
Absolutely. Buying, selling, appraising, they do it all. It was quick and simple, and we maintained our privacy. Fox Valley Coins made the whole process easy.
That's exactly what I need. Are they local?
Right in Naperville. They have an easy website to remember. FoxValleyCoins.com.
Perfect. Now let's see if you can return this shot.
Whether buying or selling or just want valuation, Fox Valley Coins is your trusted gold and silver dealer. Visit Fox Valley Coins, 1 light north of I-88 on Route 59 at the Naperville-Warrenville border. FoxValleyCoins.com. Family-owned integrity since 1981.
Enjoy uninterrupted programming from Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson around the clock, all day, every day, including daily replays of Chicago's Morning Answer on Dan and Amy 24/7. Listen now at danandamy247.com. AM 560, The Answer.
All right. Coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
In our latest sports and politics of sorts, the baton beatdown in a relay race in a Virginia State High School track championships at 8:08.
Tomorrow it's going to be 70 degrees, so enjoy that. It is now 8 a.m. at WIND Chicago.
Things could get tense north of the border. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News, where Secretary of State Marco Rubio is about to sit down with his Canadian counterpart as the U.S. and 6 key allies gather after President Trump imposed tariffs on all steel and aluminum imports.
Secretary Rubio has crossed the front lines in the trade war. He is in Canada, and if the Canadians want to complain to somebody in person about the tariffs, it's going to have to be him. He is there for this meeting of the G7 foreign secretaries in Quebec. Those meetings of foreign secretaries can be so boring, but not today.
Fox's Peter Ducey at the White House, where the president escalated things in a Truth Social post this morning, reacting to Canada and the European Union's retaliatory tariffs. He wrote, if Europe's nasty 50% tariff on American whiskey is not canceled immediately, he'll put a 200% tariff on all wine, champagne, and other alcohol coming here from France or any other EU country. Today, NATO's leader goes to the White House. As President Trump keeps pushing for an end to the war in Ukraine, that country's agreed to a U.S. ceasefire plan.
President Donald Trump's envoy
Steve Witkoff has landed in Moscow to bring details of the proposal to the Kremlin. President Vladimir Putin's spokesman hinting at direct talks with President Trump, saying there could be an international phone call later today.
Fox's Jonathan Savage. A Russian official said today that ceasefire plan would benefit Ukraine's military. Time's running out for Congress to avert a government shutdown by tomorrow night's deadline for funding. Republican Senator Ashley Moody tells Fox,
if this is a shutdown, it'll be the Schumer shutdown. This is completely on the hands of the Democrats.
That's after Minority Leader Chuck Schumer said they'll go block the House-passed spending bill funding the government through September because Republicans did not get any Democrat input. Schumer's pushing for a 30-day funding plan
that will keep the government open and give Congress time to negotiate bipartisan legislation that can pass.
We got an update on wholesale inflation this morning. Producer prices came down on an annual rate last month. America's listening to Fox News.
35 degrees at 8:02 on AM 560. The Answer. Good morning. I'm Mike Scott. Chicago aldermen rejecting a proposed ban on the sale of new fur products in the city. A proposed ordinance that would have banned the sale of products made with animal fur voted down yesterday by the city council on a 26-19 vote. A man charged with killing another found dead inside a home in Glenview earlier this month. James Soldier's body was discovered March 2nd in a home on Glenview Road during a well-being trek. Police arrested Charles Poulos and charged him with one count of first-degree murder. He was a roommate of the victim. New information is coming out about a deadly apartment fire last month on the north side. Officials say the blaze on Valentine's Day was caused by unattended cooking. 6-year-old Mylan Williams was killed in that fire. His mother, critically injured. 2 firefighters were also hurt. And a suburban community is halting installation of electric vehicle charging stations inside of parking structures following a blaze last year. Rosemont recently voted for a temporary ban on the installation of charging stations inside parking garages after an EV burst into flames late last year while charging in a garage at the fashion outlets in Rosemont. The Bulls go for their 4th win in a row when they host the Brooklyn Nets at the UC tonight. Blackhawks visit San Jose. Baseball, Southsiders tied the Angels 1-1 yesterday, and the Cubs are in Japan. The news, a service of almostfreeteeth.com. With a Blue Cross Blue Shield PPO or FEP, it's possible to save, on average, 90% for dental implants and get 100% of your smile back at almostfreeteeth.com. 8:04, time for the AM 560 Business Beat, a service of Signature Bank. Visit signaturebank.bank for all your commercial banking needs. Now the latest from the Fox Business Network.
I'm Jerry Willis, and this is the Fox Business Report. Dollar General reporting fourth quarter sales which topped estimates, but profit missed estimates because of costs from a review of the retailer's store portfolio. Facebook parent Meta wins a legal victory against a former employee who published an explosive tell-all memoir. This is an arbitrator temporarily prohibits the author from promoting or further distributing copies. The arbitrator finding that Meta had provided enough grounds that she had potentially violated her contract. And Deutsche Bank names autos as a growing risk for its portfolio. It faces a challenging environment in Europe, electric vehicle transition and competition in China, and pressures from U.S. tariffs on steel and aluminum. That's your Fox Business Report. I'm Lillian Wu, invested in you.
8:05, a check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
This week on Capitol Hill is the best way to get informed on everything going on with Congress. Hosted by Tony Perkins and the Speaker of the House, Mike Johnson.
Passing that budget resolution was a huge step forward. The media, the Democrats, they all decried the effort. They mocked us. They said it couldn't be done. We got the resolution done against all odds.
Stay informed and become a regular listener. This week on Capitol Hill. Sundays at 1 on AM 560. The Answer.
At almostfreeteeth.com, they're dedicated
dedicated to making smiles great again. If you have medical PPO insurance, find out how you could save 90% off on average to get a beautiful dental implant supported smile. Check if you qualify right now at almostfreeteeth.com.
Millions of Americans take medicine like Ozempic and Zepbound. Many of them are overpaying by thousands of dollars a year. These GLP-1 medications for diabetes, weight loss, and more may not always be covered by your insurance, but GoodRx can help. GoodRx helps you save every month on prescriptions at over 70,000 pharmacies nationwide. Best of all, it's free to use. Check GoodRx to save on GLP-1s. Just go to GoodRx.com/GLP. That's GoodRx.com/GLP. GoodRx is not insurance, but can be used instead of insurance, including Medicare and other federal and state-funded programs.
During tax season, your personal info travels to a lot of places you can't control. Between payroll, your home office, your tax preparer, and the IRS, if your W-2 gets exposed, that's just the ticket for identity thieves. That's why LifeLock monitors hundreds of millions of data points every second. If your identity's stolen, they'll fix it guaranteed or your money back. Don't let identity thieves take you for a ride. Save up to 40% your first year with promo code CLAY. Visit LifeLock.com. Terms apply.
President Trump has made some pretty amazing claims since he's taken his seat as president. He's delivering on what he promised. On Inauguration Day, Trump's very first declaration was,
"The golden age of America begins right now. From this day forward, our country will flourish."
Consider this. Since the election, gold has shot up hundreds of dollars per ounce, shattering all-time record highs. Fox Valley Coins does not pretend to know the future, but they do know that if you're buying or selling gold or silver, they are the place to do it. These are some of the top reasons people choose a dealer. You want a national dealer with a local presence you can deal with face-to-face. You want a large selection, the best prices, and great service. You want to walk in with cash and walk out with the best product. You want to deal with legacy dealers with integrity. Whether buying or selling or just want valuation, Fox Valley Coins is your answer for choosing a dealer. Visit Fox Valley Coins, 1 light north of I-88 on Route 59 at the Naperville-Warrenville border. FoxValleyCoins.com. Family-owned integrity since 1981.
When you hear the term living better, what do you think about? More money? A bigger house? Maybe a yacht? What about how you feel physically? How you wake up each day? How you sleep? What activities you can and cannot do? When you feel good, life is good. So if pain is affecting your life, see how Relief Factor can help. Relief Factor is a daily supplement that fights pain naturally. Developed by doctors, it doesn't just mask pain temporarily, it helps reduce or even eliminate pain. In fact, the longer you take it, the more effective it is. So give their 3-week quick start a try. It's only $19.95, less than $1 a day. And it just takes a phone call, 1-800-4-RELIEF. That's 1-800-4-RELIEF. Wherever you're hurting, in 3 weeks or even days, Relief Factor can give you a chance to rediscover the true meaning of living better again. Visit ReliefFactor.com or call 1-800-4-RELIEF. That's 1-800-4-RELIEF.
8:09, Team Hochberg Traffic Center time. Inbound on the Ike, 80 minutes, an hour 20 from 390 into the old post office. A lot of that due to a much earlier semi-truck fire. A right shoulder remains blocked coming inbound between York Road and St. Charles in Elmhurst. Tri-State, you've got a jam northbound between Roosevelt and the Ike, and roadwork problems southbound on 294 between Cermak and 31st. The veterans all tied up northbound 355 between the Boughton Toll and Maple due to an earlier accident. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next. Now, your official Chicagoland weather forecast with Steve Williams.
Today, sunny, mild, high 60, clear to partly cloudy, mild evening, low 50. Sunny clouds, breezy, warm, severe thunderstorm by tomorrow night. High tomorrow 75. Strong winds on Saturday, variable cloudiness in the high 66. I'm Steve Williams on AM 560, The Answer.
Currently 35 degrees. Your next news 8:30. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios.
This is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560. The Answer.
Sports and politics and sports and politics and sports and politics and intersection. Arrogance and ignorance. Arrogance, ignorance, and arrogance and ignorance. Intersection.
Before we get to the featured story in this segment, big day for you, getting down to it. You got both Georgia Tech and Iowa on the docket today, Amy.
Oh, for basketball, yes. We are.
Yeah, for basketball. Yeah.
Georgia Tech's going to win. I'll just let you know.
Georgia Tech's going to beat Duke. They're a 22.5-point dog.
Oh, they're not going to beat Duke. Okay.
Yeah, okay. Now that you know who they're playing, they're not actually going to win. Got it. Okay.
Well, you never know.
That's one.
I mean, the football team pulled off a few miracles during the season this year, so.
Not this big. No.
Not this big? Okay.
No. Mm-mm.
You know who goes to Duke? Pritzker's son goes to Duke.
Wow. It's a real Jacobson-Pritzker war
matchup.
There. Yeah. All right, so Peyton is not going to be celebrating. What about Iowa, Illinois?
Oh, my, Iowa's going to get destroyed.
No.
Iowa doesn't have a good program this year. It's a building year, right? That's what they call it.
Well, they lost their best player, so that didn't help. But we talked about it the other day. I don't want to belabor the point, but...
Oh, just say it again. Come on.
Well, I mean, you need a team
on the team.
You need a team that has more than just like 6'8", skinny 6'8", 3-point shooters. You need to be able to rebound the ball. You need some sort of post presence. You need somebody who can play with their back to the basket. Yeah. I don't know why this is a complicated formula, but yeah. All right. Okay. Well, I'm glad to see that you're realistic about your two teams' chances.
Yeah.
Yeah. Although, Iowa has a better chance than Georgia Tech, but...
You think so?
Well, let's see. One is a 22.5-point dog, and the other is a 10-point dog. So that's the way I make assessments on chances, the way that the bookies do.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, let's get to this story. Here's GMA reporting on this incident that, of course, now has gone viral because it's so unusual and it's a bit jarring when you first see it. This is Virginia State High School Track Championships, the 4x200 relay race. And coming around the turn was Aaliyah Everett as well as Kaylin Tucker. And when Kaylin Tucker was passing Aaliyah Everett, she got a baton. It's a relay race. She got a baton to the back of the head.
Yeah.
Now, Aaliyah Everett has been charged with misdemeanor assault and battery.
Good.
But she says it was all just an accident. Here's GMA's reporting on it to make the point about it going viral.
I would never do that on purpose. That's not in my character.
Everett says the incident is a complete misunderstanding, pointing to another angle of the race as proof.
The baton was literally like her arm was literally hitting the baton like this until she got a little ahead and my arm got stuck like this.
In the video, Everett is seen on the inside track running the 4x200 relay at the Virginia State High School League Championships when junior Kaylin Tucker came around the outside on the corner.
That's when she hit me with the baton. I just felt a bang on my head and then I fell off the track immediately.
Kaylin dropping her baton and reaching for her head. She was later diagnosed with a concussion.
Now, since the incident, the Everett family has been served with court papers and must appear before a judge.
Not since Zola Budd and Mary Decker Slaney have we had such controversy on the track. 312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line. If you've seen it, I mean, the argument that Everett is making that they were running
too close to each other,
side by side, arms got tangled up. When the arm got untangled, somehow her arm released high up and came down with the baton and hit Tucker in the head.
Are you buying that? I mean, I must have watched this video 5 times, and I don't see that. I just see a clear, distinct, like a point of rage and anger, and then she hits her on the head. And she's acting like the victim now? Come on.
Well, I mean, she's now, of course, being held up as this dirty competitor.
Well, because she is, I think, but okay.
Well, take a listen. Her plea.
Everybody has feelings.
Oh,
so
she's crying.
You're physically hurt, but you're not thinking of my mental, right? They're going off of one angle. A couple times hitting her, my baton got stuck behind her back like this, and it rolled up her back. I lost my balance, and when I pumped my arms again, she got hit. I know my intentions, and I would never hit somebody on purpose. They're assuming my character, calling me ghetto, racist slurs, death threats, all of this just because of a 9-second video.
Well, it didn't really matter because the dude won the women's 4x200 anyway. I'm just kidding. But it's
possible.
But the racist, well, they're both
black.
Both of the athletes are black.
So how is this? I mean, the death threats, no, I'm not. I mean, stop, please. But for her to come forward now and claim that she's the victim and that it's our fault, that we're reading it wrong, I mean, I don't know who's buying that bull jive. 312-642-5600 is our turnkey DePro text and answer line. You can also text us on the same number.
Are girls' sports at the the grade school and high school level, are they getting more violent? And I don't mean because men are playing in them. I mean just among the actual girls.
Oh yeah, when I was at Allman Brothers High School, we had more fights at girl basketball games than we never had boys games, between mostly parents though, believe it or not, and then sometimes players.
Okay, girls' sports are getting more violent in the stands.
No, but also too on the court. I mean, they're very, it's a rough sport. I mean, I shot the rock.
What's a rough sport? Basketball?
It's physical. Yeah, it's not like volleyball. I mean, you're up and you're in each other's faces and you're boxing each other out and you're throwing elbows and.
Yeah.
As a former player, Dan, I don't know if you know about me.
Yeah.
Fairly successful in basketball.
Right. You were one of the essentially the pioneers that gave way to the WNBA.
Well, I will tell you this. Our junior year, between junior and senior year, they changed the size of the ball, which was just, we were mortified because then you have to learn how to shoot all over again. But whatever. Yeah, so I guess I am a pioneer.
Yeah, and that spawned the WNBA.
And at the top of the second half, it's 16-9. Easton leads the scoring with 4.
And that's why she commands $7,000 a year. These gals sure do make it look difficult.
But is having this minor skill worth being so unattractive? That's for the fan to decide.
Yay!
That is so rude.
Jim in LaGrange, you're on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Dan, I saw this incident, and I had flashbacks immediately of Tanya Harding and Nancy Kerrigan.
See?
And the only thing that was missing was the victim starting to cry and screaming, "Why? Why?"
Or Ed Galululi wasn't there.
Jeff Galooly.
Jeff Galooly, sorry.
Yeah, thanks for don't give Jeff Galooly the credit he earned. But it's not. But you have the perpetrator crying, not the victim, not the person who got hit.
Right.
I mean, Nancy Kerrigan did get hit. I mean, it was that response was unfortunate, but she did get battered.
Yeah,
and so did this Kaylin Tucker. I don't know. Kaylin Tucker doesn't seem convinced that it was accidental. And you know how athletes are too, or you play sports. Like if somebody inadvertently undercuts you or inadvertently ran into you or whatever, you know when it's inadvertent and you were trying to avoid it or you didn't see or you lost your balance and you hurt somebody. I mean, and most people will, like, if you go back and look at it and you understand, you think about it and you know the competitors, which I assume they probably know each other or of each other. Oh. You'd probably say like, oh, well, that was it wasn't intentional. You would have the victim say it wasn't intentional, but that's not what she's saying. And I got to tell you, even the reverse angle that Everett wants us to look at it, I don't see how the arm is tangled and then it raises up and it comes down with the baton on her head. It's just I don't know about that. I don't know about that.
Text message: she is a thug. Thank you.
Yeah. Mad Mac in Indiana.
Hey, Track and Field magazine said they don't have any recorded instance of this ever happening in the history of track and field. And by the way, I went to my daughter's, back in the day, a JV game when she was a senior because they were going to put her on the varsity. She was a new kid. I get to the gym, and I thought the game was over or something happened because the gym was virtually empty. But on the scoreboard, it said 2-1. That was the halftime score of a girls' game.
Real shootout. Yeah.
Real shootout. And the rims are only 7 feet high, too.
Run and gun. Yeah. Thanks for the call, Mad Mac. Yeah. That's why Angel Reese is saying, we get what we want or we sit out. You're not going to get to enjoy our unique brand of basketball.
Yeah.
That
Those
unique brand of basketball.
Yeah,
And at the top of the second half,
here we
it's
go.
16-9. Easton leads the scoring with 4.
And that's why she commands $7,000 a year. These gals sure do make it look difficult.
But is having this minor skill worth being so unattractive? That's for the fan to decide.
Yay! It really is. It's a great question. Lewis in Brenham, Texas.
Good morning, Dan. Good morning, Amy. I've seen the video, and it looked pretty malicious and intentional. To me, for her to hurt her, besides the amount of force you need to come down is a lot more than an accident. We've all accidentally bumped into somebody or probably accidentally hit somebody in the face. So there's more force to give somebody a concussion.
Thanks for the call. Well,
and you could look at her eye. I mean, you could see her. She's so angry, and then she just hits her, and boom, and then she tries to hit her again, but she got out of the way. But she was clearly it wasn't a one-off smack. It was not a one-off smack.
I mean, if you accidentally elbow somebody like in a basketball court, and people can understand that. But this, again, I don't know that she tried to hit her again or whatever after she fell off to the side, Mary Decker Slaney style. But
I'm watching it.
But I don't. But I mean, just the idea you can. Like your arms are entangled, you're bumping like it's just a NASCAR race, you're bumping in your lanes, and then all of a sudden you get untangled and you just lose control of your right arm with the baton and come down. I don't know about that. Like I said, I'm sort of deferring to Kaylin Tucker, the girl that was hit, because, most athletes, like I say, are pretty generous in terms of somebody really accidentally hurts you, you acknowledge it because that happens in competition, and that's not what's happening here. All right. So
text message: is the baton made out of iron? How could she have caused a concussion?
Yeah, it's metal.
It's metal, yeah. So it can cause a concussion, and she has been concussed. A doctor examined her.
And now we're going to have a movement to ban metal batons because they're dangerous objects, and you have to register them with the local police department. We have to nerf them or something because of this incident. I'm sure that will happen from some of the safetyists here. But anyway, the verdict here is that she is guilty of assault and battery, and she should spend the rest of her life in prison. Is that right?
No, but she should. I mean, the fact that they charged her, at least I felt. Some vindication for the victim when that happened.
Ban for life from track and field?
No, I don't like doing that to kids. She's a kid. I mean, she's in high school, right? So, no, I don't feel like banning her. I think she's learned her lesson. I don't think that'll happen again.
Well, she hasn't learned her lesson because she's not admitting guilt.
Oh, yeah, you're right. I don't know. Do you think she should be banned for life?
No, but I think... if she pleads out or is convicted, I think she needs to own this and make amends, and then we can all move on. But I'm not trying to pile on this chick. It was just such a, as I said, jarring, unusual incident, and it's getting national coverage. So I thought we'd talk about it in the context of youth sports more so than just this. But she does need to just own it. I got upset. I lost control. I had a bit of a temper tantrum, if that's what happened, and I was wrong. I apologize to my competitor there, Kaylin Tucker. Won't happen again. And I love track and field, and I'm sorry. And people are forgiving. It's fine. As long as you think good Tucker only got a concussion, it wasn't worse. Matt in Oak Lawn.
I would apologize for nothing. I think of George Costanza with his arm spasm. That would be my defense.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I'm sure. Ali Everett is a big Seinfeld fan. That's where she came up with the excuse. Mm-hmm. Dan and Amy, Chicago's Morning Answer.
Hear about the big stories of the day, then talk about them right here on Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
Maha starts with Virago, making America healthy again. With the worst flu season in years, you need an immune system boost. The stronger your immune system, the stronger your body fights and defends against... and... So get Virago. Virago Immune Enhancement Support is a unique blend of 23 nutraceuticals, ingredients that have been available as individual nutraceuticals, but now working in synergy to maximize their effects. Recommended by medical physicians, dentists, and other healthcare professionals, Virago is the nutraceutical cocktail for immune support. Developed to strengthen your immune system for quick response to immune challenges, for short and long-term immunity, antiviral, anti-inflammatory, antioxidant. It even protects your heart, kidneys, liver, all in a unique liquid supplement for better absorption. Order online at myvirago.com. That's myvirago.com. myvirago.com. Use coupon code IMMUNE to save 30%. Quality ingredients for optimum health. Maha, making America healthy again starts with Virago.
We always use M13. They can print anything.
They design and price match. M13 does amazing work.
M13 Graphics has helped make our brand stand out. They're definitely the best for less.
Before M13, amateur. With M13, we look awesome.
M13 Graphics, Chicago's leader in full-color design and printing. Set your business up for success with exceptional print products, turned around in just 24 to 48 hours. Business cards, postcards, posters, banners, brochures, apparel, you name it. M13 will design and print nearly anything for your business. They have the right people in place and a reputation that keeps customers happy and coming back for more. They're a Chicago company that embodies the idea of business integrity. They live it every day. After all, in this country, you're free to do business with who you choose. Respect that freedom. Choose the best. For speedy turnaround, excellent service, and the best pricing in Chicagoland, choose M13 Graphics for all your design and printing. Online at M13.com. Visit M13.com or call now, toll free, 877-M13-1913. That's 877-M13-1913.
People ask us, when's the best time to replace an old furnace? Simple. Before it breaks. At Air Ride Heating and Cooling, we know there's never a good time to be without heat, especially in Illinois. If you can't remember the last time your furnace was inspected, get some peace of mind by having Air Ride take a look. Plus, AM 560 listeners get $56 off any service. Visit Air Ride Heating and Cooling today at air-rite.com. That's AIR-RITE.com. Air Ride Heating and Cooling, doing it right since 1959.
You heard me talk about Relief Factor and how so many people enjoy a better, more pain-free life because of it. If you're dealing with everyday pain, it makes sense you'd want to try it first. Well, Relief Factor makes that pretty pain-free too with their 3-week quick start kit for only $19.95, less than $1 a day. Relief Factor is a daily supplement that fights pain naturally. Relief Factor doesn't just mask pain temporarily, it helps reduce or eliminate pain. Visit relieffactor.com or call 1-800-4RELIEF, 800-4RELIEF for Relief Factor.
Healthcare is complicated. It doesn't have to be. If you don't love how your health insurance works, maybe it's time to leave traditional health insurance behind. Take charge of your healthcare with Christian Healthcare Ministries. CHM offers you flexibility. Enroll anytime, choose your own provider, and select the program that fits your needs and budget. CHM is the original faith-based way of taking care of your medical bill costs. Learn more at chministries.org/wellness.
The fight against abortion in Illinois has never been more important than it is right now. Thanks to our elected officials, Illinois has become an abortion tourism destination. The number of abortions in our state continues to grow, despite the fact that crisis pregnancy centers outnumber abortion clinics almost 3-to-1. Now, thanks to a new effort by Caring Network, it's possible to reach abortion-minded women to provide peace of mind and security to help them choose life. This new Reach Her First initiative seeks to provide women with the assurance and information they need before they choose an abortion. But Caring Network needs your help to reach women who are considering abortion. For a one-time gift of just $150, you can help reach 5 women and help them choose life. That's all it takes to prevent an abortion. To make that gift, just go to 560theanswer.com/caring. That's 560theanswer.com/caring.
I'm sorry, ma'am, but you need to vacate this home.
Why, officer? I own this home free and clear. I lived here for 40 years.
Well, unfortunately, this paperwork says otherwise.
But I have nowhere else to go.
I'm sorry to hear that, ma'am.
This story is becoming all too common in the U.S. Scammers are preying on people with high equity or who own their homes free and clear of a mortgage. Only one company completely protects you. That's Equity Protect. Get your free risk report by texting the word HOME to 94878. Again, text the word HOME to 94878 to get your free risk report from Equity Protect.
She's gone from reporting on the sidelines to making sense of the headlines. It's the Michelle Tafoya podcast.
The media is trying to lampoon this group. Yes, they are. They're calling them a bunch of 19-year-olds in hoodies. People go to war as soon as they're 18. you're okay with that. But a 19-year-old genius trying to help the Treasury save money? Oh, God forbid.
Subscribe to the Michelle Tafoya podcast today on Apple, Spotify, YouTube, Rumble, or at SalemPodcastNetwork.com.
Business owners, now's the time for your business to make the move to a locally owned business bank. Hi, Mike Gallagher here to let you know that you don't have to look far. Signature Bank was founded in Chicago with a simple mission to help companies like yours grow, succeed, and thrive. Their decisions are made locally by a terrific team that knows your name, cares about your business, and invests in your success. That's why Signature Bank is my bank. I'm a customer. As business owners, they knew that local family-owned businesses were not getting the help they needed or deserved. So I invite you to reach out to my friends at Signature Bank today. Write the number down. Remember this phone number, Signature Bank, 773-467-5630, and learn all about this great bank, 773-467-5630, or visit them online at signaturebank.bank. That's signaturebank.bank. Signature Bank makes commercial banking personal. Member FDIC, equal housing lender.
AM 560, The Answer.
Hey, real quick, Dan. Portsmouth NAACP came out with a statement saying Halalia is not an attacker, as media headlines have alluded. She is an honor student.
They're always
and
honor
a
students.
star athlete at the historic IC Norcom High School.
Well, she was losing to Kayleen Tucker in the 4x200 relay.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, look, you watch the video, you draw your own conclusions, but it looks intentional.
Coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
At 8:38, we'll talk long COVID, and I don't mean the virus. I mean the lingering suffering from the COVID policies. We'll discuss with John Tierney from the City Journal, 8:38.
But first, let's step into that newsroom once again. Here is Mike Scott.
8:33, we're watching in Europe this morning. Belgian federal prosecutors are arresting dozens of people, part of a long investigated corruption probe linked to the European Parliament, amid reports in local media there that the Chinese company Huawei bribed EU lawmakers for years. About 100 federal police officers carrying out 21 searches in Brussels, Flanders, and in Portugal. This all according to the federal prosecutor's office in Belgium. President Trump says U.S. officials are going to Russia to talk about a possible ceasefire with Ukraine. Meantime, Senator Lindsey Graham says he'll be introducing bipartisan sanctions against Russia today.
The one thing that happened is they put pressure on Ukraine, and it worked. It's time to put pressure on Russia.
Meanwhile, the head of NATO will be in Washington today, meeting with President Trump. 6 Americans who were imprisoned in Kuwait are now free. A representative for their families announced they've been returned to the U.S. A school board meeting held in Manhattan last night in the south suburbs, where parents were hoping to learn more about a teacher who was recently placed on leave. During the Manhattan School District 114 meeting, several parents spoke out. The employee, who is a phys ed teacher, was escorted out of the school last Wednesday. New information coming out about a deadly apartment fire last month on the north side. Blaze on Valentine's Day was caused by unattended cooking. 6-year-old Mylan Williams was killed in that fire. His mother critically hurt. 2 firefighters were also hurt. Chicago sports. Bulls go for their 4th win in a row, and they host Brooklyn at the UC tonight. Blackhawks visit San Jose this evening. College men's tournament basketball. Notre Dame exits the ACC tournament with a loss to North Carolina. Northwestern a win over Minnesota in the Big Ten tournament. They go up against Wisconsin this afternoon. Fighting Illini take on Iowa this evening. High school state semifinals. Dan Proft's 30-5 Bennett Academy Red Wings take on 30-5 Evanston in 4A tomorrow. 3A face-off tonight between 29-6 Brother Rice and 28-7 St. Patrick. Has the South Side all stirred up. The 2A semifinals tonight as well. The news, a service of Air Right Heating and Cooling, offering AM 560 listeners $56 off any service, including inspections, or take advantage of limited-time federal rebates on a new furnace. Visit Air Right Heating and Cooling today, AIR-RITE.com. A check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
When you need to talk about what's happening today,
Hey, can I talk to you for a second?
there's one place you can come to. The Sean Thompson Show.
Do it! Do it, I dare you! Do it!
Get in the conversation.
Everybody talks about that show.
Sounds great, doesn't it?
Weekdays starting at 4.
This is easy!
I like his honesty and his frankness. Every day I listen to him, I learn.
He says what's on his mind. He's real.
Best person out there to listen to.
We're combating people who prefer the lie.
He's Sean Thompson, only on AM 560. The Answer.
Patrick was way behind on his IRS taxes.
I was in way over my head. The total amount ended up being somewhere just over $30,000. $30,000.
Then the IRS came to collect.
Started getting letter after letter. A lien had been filed against me. They were going to basically hang me completely out to dry.
He had to do something.
That's when I reached out to Optima Tax Relief.
Patrick's life quickly got a lot easier.
It was very easy, pretty much hands off. They picked up the ball and ran with it.
And how'd it go?
I couldn't believe it. I had to ask 2 or 3 times. I saved an incredible amount of money.
How does Patrick feel about Optima?
Couldn't be happier. They definitely helped me. Optima Tax Relief, the best place to call. They're the best in the business.
Do what Patrick did and call Optima Tax Relief for a free consultation. Call 800-965-1433. 800-965-1433. 800-965-1433. Optima Tax Relief. Testimonial from an actual client. Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
This is Hugh Hewitt for townhall.com. The House has now passed the continuing resolution that was unveiled by Speaker Johnson this past weekend, immediately endorsed by President Trump.
On this vote, the yeas are 217, the nays are 213. The bill is passed without objection. The motion to reconsider is laid upon the table.
Bravo. I don't know about all that's in that 99-page bill, save for the beginning of a defense buildup. But it will allow the government to stay open while Donald Trump and the GOP in the House and Senate figure out the budget and reconciliation package, or packages. There can be one or two. I'm in favor of whatever the GOP passes, just as I will support the president's approaches on trade and peace negotiations for at least year one. Because I'm a party man. Always have been, always will be. Parties are the only way to advance political agendas. And in the end, the Republican Party is the only way to protect the Constitution, as the Democrats want to pack the Supreme Court, crush the rule of law in the process of doing so. The Senate should now move quickly to pass the CR and keep the government open. I'm Hugh Hewitt.
New treatments for joint pain are here. By now, you've heard about regenerative medicine. If you're wondering if you're a good candidate, answer these questions. First, does chronic pain in your knees, hips, shoulders, or other joints keep you from doing the things you enjoy? Golfing, jogging, time with the family. Does it hurt doing the things you need to do, like getting out of bed, sleeping, working, and walking? And finally, do you want to avoid surgery and all of the pain, long recovery, and uncertainty that comes with it? If you answered yes to any of those, you need to call QC Kinetics now. Learn about exciting advancements in regenerative treatments that can give you long-lasting pain relief with no drugs, no surgery, and no downtime. Get your free consultation today. Call QC Kinetics. That's QC Kinetics. Here's the phone number.
Call now, 312-809-5955. That's 312-809-5955. QC Kinetics, 312-809-5955.
8:39. Let's get an update on the roads. We do that in our Team Hochberg Traffic Center. And this update is the service of Allstate. Some people just know you could save money on car insurance by checking Allstate first. Probably saving a carload of cash. So what are you waiting for? Check Allstate first for a quote today. You're in good hands with Allstate. The Kennedy at an hour 9 from O'Hare into the Burns Circle interchange. The I coming inbound at hour and 20 from 390 into the old post office. A lot of that near Elmhurst between North Avenue and St. Charles due to a much earlier semi-fire on the inbound side. Tri-State roadwork problems southbound between the Grand Avenue curve and Roosevelt. And delays in Cicero on Cicero Avenue northbound between Pershing and 31st, all due to a broken water main. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next. AM 560 Weather Center forecast. Sunny and mild with a high near 60. It's 38 right now. Next news coming up at 9. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios.
Only the biggest stories, only the biggest guests, and only the biggest opinions. This is AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy talked about it a bit earlier this week, but the confirmation hearing for Dr. Jay Bhattacharya to be the next head of the National Institute for Health. And this sort of philosophical statement he made about science that will inform his tenure as director of NIH. Compare and contrast to what we heard from the COVIDian public health people for the last several years.
The proper role of scientists in a pandemic is to answer basic questions that policymakers have about what the right policy should be. Our role isn't to make decisions to say you shouldn't be saying goodbye to your grandfather as he's dying in a hospital. It shouldn't be to say you can't have a funeral because it's too dangerous. The scientists should say, here's what the risks are, and then you decide what the risk, whether you take it. The role of the scientists shouldn't be to say you can't send your kids to school for 2 years. That you can't you should close hospitals so that they can't treat heart attack patients. That you should not. The role of scientists should be to address those problems by giving good data, and then let people make the science should be an engine for freedom, knowledge and freedom, not something where it stands on top of society and says you must do this, this, and this, or else. It shouldn't be pushing mandates for vaccines that have been. Like the COVID vaccines that were tested for a relatively short period of time. I took the COVID vaccine myself, but I think that the mandates that many scientists push have led to the lack of confidence that so much of the public has in science. If science is a force for freedom and for knowledge, it will have universal support. That's what the role of science is.
And I mentioned before Mike Scott's newscast the long COVID. And I don't mean people suffering from the virus. I mean long COVID, the suffering from the COVID response policies, the policies of these COVIDians. Jason Riley writing this week in the Wall Street Journal about the absentee rate in New York City schools. 25% before COVID, 35% last year. Just still last year, the lingering effects. But hey, the good news is that some 5,600 kids 11 years and younger got PPP money totaling $312 million. The Doge boys discovered this. $312 million, 5,600 loans totaling $312 million listed to owners of businesses that were 11 years old or younger at the time of the loan.
They also found 5,000 cases that use a social security number with an incorrect name. So yeah, Doge is getting it done. 5,600
loans, that's like $55,000 per loan. So, the how we should remember COVID, like the signature line from COVID, shouldn't be flatten the curve. It should be waste, fraud, and abuse, because that's what it was, all the way around.
And lockdowns.
That's abuse.
I know. I was there 2 years. My kids were out of school. Unbelievable.
For more on this, we're pleased to be joined by John Tierney. John is contributing editor to the City Journal, former reporter and columnist at the New York Times, and co-author of The Power of Bad, How the Negativity Effect Rules Us and How We Can Rule It. John, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
Hi, great to be with you, Dan and Amy.
Well, we continue to fight the rewrite of the history on COVID. The good news is the battle has been joined in the public health agencies with this administration, and Marty Makary at FDA and Jay Bhattacharya at NIH are going to be two of the most important figures.
Exactly. I mean, it's so great to see Bhattacharya. During the pandemic, I was writing about him, talking to him, and he made so much sense, and he got so vilified for it. And as they said at the hearing last week, it's amazing that Fauci and Francis Collins, the head of NIH, had helped organize this smear campaign against him. And the federal government was had this campaign to censor him, and now he's running the agency that was persecuting him. It's great,
I love it.
think.
But I think they were smearing him because they knew deep down in their hearts that he was right, don't you think?
Yeah, I mean, if you looked at the evidence, he was clearly right. There was, the plan before the pandemic at the CDC and other, public health agencies was you don't lock down, you don't mandate masks. They're not going to work. We shouldn't disrupt society. And they just threw it out, just abandoned that. Once China said, let's copy China. They're a great role model for us, It was just insane. I mean, one thing I've wondered is, and I've never seen evidence for this, but if the reason, the only rational reason I can think of for why you would abandon that plan is if you really knew or feared very much that this virus was created in a lab and that it was so different and so much worse than every virus before that we, have to do everything we can, that we have to throw out the rule book. But, I don't know that's true, but I just wonder if that's what, they were thinking, because otherwise their behavior was just insane. They just abandoned the principles of science and public health.
How did you enjoy the Stand for Science rally last weekend in Washington, D.C., featuring noted scientists, including Bill Nye and Francis Collins? Actually, was there. Oh, He penned he penned a new song for the occasion. I know you want to hear it, so here it goes.
No.
This noble dream. Have you got that? So it's just all the good people, but the second line, part of this family, and the last line, we're joined together by this noble dream. Do that with me. This is a song for all the good people. Come on.
John, please feel free to sing along, John.
We're part of this family. This is a song for all the good people. We're joined together by this noble dream.
I think you get what he's laying down.
Yeah, isn't it frightening to think he was running NIH? For 12 years, I think. And he and Fauci back in 2011 wrote this op-ed in the Washington Post saying, yes, it's worth engineering dangerous viruses in the lab. We should do that. And they supported that work. It's just incredible that this guy was in charge. And, Bhattacharya's confirmation cannot come soon enough. They really just need to overhaul the whole public health establishment.
It really is. The public health establishment and so many other areas, when these people are, unmoored from their responsibilities within a regime like the Biden administration, you realize that we were being governed by the cast of One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. These are goofballs, Francis Collins.
Right. It's all about preserving their bureaucracy and their power. And, and Bhattacharya, aside from being so right about COVID, he has a great track record. He writes about the problems of science and how you encourage more creative research, how you avoid that kind of groupthink. And that's what he's really dedicated to doing, and that's what we really need in Washington. It's just, it's gotten so bad. I did a piece for, 6 years ago or for City Journal about the corruption of public health, that for decades it has just been taken over by leftists who their idea of the science is anything we can point to, any data we can cherry pick to justify bigger government, and more control over people's lives. And the pandemic just exposed that so brutally, that it was incredible that they didn't care what damage they made.
Well, to your point, there's a real, and the nice thing is we've been talking about is the Doge culture that has come to D.C., where you have cabinet secretaries and senior level officials all sort of competing to do their own, to contribute to the overall effort of exposing ridiculous spending, of proposing reductions in spending and staff and so forth, and sort of focused on the narrowest interpretation of the particular agency's mission. And I assume we'll see that from Bhattacharya and Makari and the CDC director as well. But what you're talking about is something that really does need that sort of Doge exposure, the corruption, because during COVID, you're trying to get information. Are we funding virology labs in China, in Wuhan? Are we doing it in Ukraine? Are we in the business of trying to weaponize viruses? If so, how exactly is that proceeding? These grants that were being given out to Fauci's friends, what exactly are these people doing? Who are they collaborating with? Does this make any sense? Is this the highest, best use of scarce medical research dollars? I mean, all those questions that that started to get asked, and of course they were immediately shouted down. Now they can get asked, and we can actually discuss them like adults, hopefully.
I hope. I mean, one dispiriting thing about this hearing. I said it's the closest thing we're going to see to a surrender on COVID, because the Democrats on the hearing, these were people who backed the vaccine mandates. They wanted a national mask mandate. They didn't ask a single thing about the pandemic, anything about that. So they surrendered on that issue, but they didn't learn any lesson from it, because they spent all their time just railing and demanding that Bhattacharya restore every single cut at NIH. And if we learned anything, it was that these agencies have wasted enormous amounts of money. We need to be cutting a lot of the stuff they're doing and focusing on important stuff, on stuff that works instead of these, and we need to really reorganize them. So, the idea that we should restore every cut is absurd, but the Democrats they're the defenders of big government.
Well, we got some breaking news here. Just as I mentioned him, former Florida Congressman Dave Weldon, who is the nominee to be the director of CDC, his nomination has been pulled, the administration saying clear he did not have the votes in the Senate. That's interesting. Really? Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah. Well, I mean,
who's their backup?
Yeah, you still got Bhattacharya and Makari. Maybe you pick up like a Martin Kulldorff or somebody like that. I don't know, but it should be somebody like a Bhattacharya, like a Makari, that was on the receiving end of all of the anti-science demagoguery and witch hunting. It seems to me that's exactly who should be in the head of the public health agencies after what transpired during COVID.
Exactly. I mean, the CDC was just, and Rachel Walensky, who was just horrible on this. So, I mean, anyone they get is going to be an improvement, but let's hope that it is someone who really will stand up and against that bureaucracy, because that really needs to be cleaned out.
Rachel, well, I'll never forget what Walensky did. I mean, Randi Weingarten, she came out and said schools should reopen, because in Europe, schools had reopened already and kids weren't dying in droves. And Randi Weingarten got to her once she saw that, and then she reversed her decision. She was so weak-kneed. I'll never forgive her for doing that. But also, what about going through some names on the Great Barrington Declaration? Find somebody on that list.
That'd be great. Scott Alice told me that that he had, that he didn't. He had some qualms about going back to Washington, but certainly, I mean, Martin Kulldorff would be great, and there were people, Vinnie Prasad, other people who really were right about it and were speaking out against it, and I hope they get someone there. I mean, and I think they will find someone who's going to shake up the CDC. I mean, they pushed so much junk science during COVID. The CDC was a scandal.
John Tierney, contributing editor, City Journal, former reporter and columnist for the New York Times, and co-author of The Power of Bad, How the Negativity Effect Rules Us and How We Can Rule It. John, thanks as always. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you. And he joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
You're listening to Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560. The Answer.
Virago is fending off viruses and making America healthy again.
Hi, my name is Dr. Michael Huber. I'm one of the co-developers of Virago, the immune enhancement cocktail. Virago was formulated to boost your immune system to fight off the viruses that you encounter every day. I made Virago into a liquid formula to improve the absorption and to provide a rapid response for your immune system. Taking Virago every day helps your immune system fight off all types of daily assaults. Go to myvirago.com. That's myvirogo.com and receive 30% off using promo code IMMUNE. And remember, Maha starts with Virago.
Boost your immune system with Virago. Order your bottle today. Visit myvirago.com. That's myvirogo.com.
And use coupon code IMMUNE to save 30%.
That's myvirago.com. Use coupon code IMMUNE to save 30%. Virago and Maha, making America healthy again.
Are you an administrator, staff member, or parent volunteer at a private school? Would you like to grow your current enrollment and welcome new families to your school? If so, we want to tell you about a great opportunity to help increase enrollment and promote your school to families all across Chicagoland. It's called ChicagolandSchoolVouchers.com. They work to connect private schools with new families who are looking for discounted first-year tuition. In exchange, your school will receive a marketing campaign to help grow your enrollment. Chicagoland School Vouchers does all the work to bring new families together with your school and help you expand your reach. They've been working with schools across Chicagoland for over a decade. As the demand for school choice grows here in Illinois, your private school needs to take advantage of this program. To learn more, just visit ChicagolandSchoolVouchers.com. That's ChicagolandSchoolVouchers.com.
Walters Kluwer United States Incorporated seeks Architect Enterprise 4 in Riverwoods, Illinois, to analyze formal test results to discover and report any defects, bugs, errors, configuration issues, and interoperability flaws. Requires domestic and international travel up to 25% of the time. Telecommuting permitted. $169,002 to $233,100 per year. Medical, vision, and dental benefits. Apply at jobpostingtoday.com. Reference number 47008.
Why pay more for prescriptions? Stop overpaying and start saving with SingleCare. It's easy. Find your prescription on singlecare.com, show the coupon at the pharmacy, and start saving. SingleCare works at pharmacies nationwide and is completely free to use, whether you have insurance or not. So the next time you fill a prescription, check SingleCare to make sure you're getting the best price. Take control of your prescription costs. Go to singlecare.com or download the free app today.
We all hear the radio ads about the IRS. They tell you to be afraid, to be scared, and they try to frighten you into calling. I'm not here to do that. Tax Relief Advocates is different. TRA is here to tell you that if you owe money to the IRS, whether it's $5,000, $50,000, or $500,000, we have a solution. It doesn't matter if you're sitting in your car, at work, or with your kids. No matter where you are, call now. 800-575-6745. Don't lose hope. TRA can eliminate or reduce what you owe to the IRS.
Generous programs are now available that can give you a fresh start.
Our passion is taxes and helping individuals fix their IRS problems.
We have over 1,000 five-star reviews on Google and an A+ with the Better Business Bureau.
You don't need to be afraid of the IRS any longer. End your tax nightmare today by visiting us online at TRA.com or call 800-575-6745. That's 800-575-6745. Tax Relief Advocates. Real solutions for real people.
AM 560. The Answer.
All right. Any last words? Anything to add?
I was just noticing, I was looking at this Michelle Obama podcast, Higher Ground. Can't wait to subscribe. She's doing it with her brother, Craig Robinson.
Yeah.
Craig Robinson bears a striking resemblance to Ayanna Pressley.
It's so weird. He looks exactly like Michelle, but without hair.
Well, he's, they're brother and sister, or brothers, as you said before.
They're trying to be the, they're trying to catch up with Joe Rogan. They need their Democratic
brothers.
Voices to be heard in the Kelsey brothers, yeah.
Yeah.
They want to be the new next best thing.
Godspeed.
Thanks. Yeah, good luck with that. Thanks to Quinn McCarthy, Justin Kosick. Now let's head into the newsroom. Here's Mike Scott.
Chicago aldermen reject a fur ban, and Northwestern moves on in the Big Ten tournament. WIND Chicago News Time, 9.
The entire world is ripping us off. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News. That's what President Trump just posted on Truth Social, writing the U.S. doesn't have free trade, we have stupid trade. also reacting to tariffs from Canada and the European Union in retaliation for new U.S. tariffs on steel and aluminum imports.
The president says if the EU doesn't remove a 50% tariff on American whiskey, the U.S. will place a 200% tariff on wines, champagnes, and alcohol products coming out of EU countries, while President Trump says this will, quote, be great for the wine and champagne businesses in the U.S.
Fox's Ryan Schmel, Secretary of State Marco Rubio on the front lines of the trade war in Canada for talks with our allies at a G7 summit. They'll also talk real war. Days after Ukraine agreed to a U.S.-backed 30-day ceasefire, Russia has responded for the first time today, saying
the deal would only help Ukrainian forces to regroup, calling the ceasefire proposal a, quote, temporary timeout for Ukrainian soldiers and nothing more. This morning, U.S. Envoy Steve Witkoff landed in Moscow to have talks with the Russians about that ceasefire proposal.
Fox's Brian Yennis.